We have a panel here.
Yeah. Your son came in last night for the 275th and sat right there. I said, "Oh, hi, you taking these ads?" He's a good kid, huh?
Yeah.
Seems it.
Wow. In
Ish.
general.
He's Bruce's tenant.
Oh, really? Oh.
Yeah.
His dogs, on the other hand, I can't handle,
Oh, he's got dogs.
but
A lot of them.
well,
Too many.
too many.
Maybe they should go. The dog should go live with Jason.
That would be preferable.
None
It
of my
says not
business.
to.
What's that?
It doesn't say not to. It's just hard to pull.
Hmm.
Okay, where is this most recent one?
No.
So I have told anyone who asks if they want to talk about their budget with the selectmen, you know, to justify or whatever, then to let me know and
Okay.
we'll schedule it. So like I guess the fire department wants to do it next week. So
Separate from the budget presentation.
yeah. Yeah. So it would take way too long if every department head came in to just
Yeah.
review the preliminary budget.
Mm.
So we get the preliminary budget. If the selectmen have any questions on it or think something's too high or too low or whatever, then we can, then I can call them and say, hey, do you wanna come in and talk about this, cause they had questions. Or if they feel like they're doing something, that they need to justify to the selectmen, then by all means, come in.
Good.
That's how we did it last year.
Yep.
I feel like that worked out well, instead of having every week, having 2, 3, 4 people come in, and, cause that's not necessary if you don't, you know what I mean?
How are you today, Lou?
So, Joe,
How are you?
Hadn't thought about that in a
I
while.
don't know.
I like that.
Never heard that one.
That's a good one.
See, that's 5 o'clock. Shall we open up the meeting? Everyone please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance.
Hang on.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
I almost looked at the wrong flag again. I'm still not used to it being there. Didn't realize it was 5 o'clock.
The person that was knocking was looking to pay their tax bill.
Oh, cool.
So,
Did you tell them we don't allow that around here?
yeah.
Alright,
Good evening, everybody.
here we are.
Well, I guess we'll get right into it. Your computer all warmed up?
Almost.
Yeah.
I'm gonna send a quick email. Maybe I'm gonna send a quick email.
Mm.
Yeah, thing looks like mine.
Whoa. 26. Did you see that line?
Which one?
Overspent.
Yeah.
They're all over.
All of them.
The whole sheet. Do you have 2 sheets?
I do have 2. Wow.
Here.
Or are they the same?
These I printed 4. One for Jeff. Not that he needs it, he's got his computer.
Okay, so
Here we go.
quarterly business review. So this is just the one page, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so these are the ones that are overspent, so we spent, over 100% of our budget. If you scroll down the list, it's really, there's only a few that are large items. For example, records management, we're $1,000 over. We know that we're archiving a lot more records than we had budgeted for, and we bumped that up considerably for this year.
That one is actually good, cause that one is actually those blue shred barrels out there.
Yeah.
She didn't anticipate having that much and having to have them emptied. They're all full again. So, Lisa, I'm talking about. So that's what that is.
Okay.
It was.
What is the BOS webpage?
The
And then can,
It's an annual fee. We budgeted 3,200, and the bill came in at 3,215. So
Oh.
$15 too much.
Oh, I thought this was an increase. Okay. Yep. Gotcha.
it did increase.
Right.
Yeah.
I thought it increased 32.15.
Oh.
No.
so on the blue barrels, do you care to speak to what those are?
Oh.
I know that we have a couple times, but since
Yeah.
they came up again.
So the blue barrels. So there were thousands. No, that's a lie. All right,
A lot.
probably about 50 boxes
Okay.
of old records of taxes, registrations, all that ballots, election stuff, that their time limit had expired, and no one has ever gotten rid of them, like back to 2012.
Mm-hmm.
So Lisa's like, there's no more room to put anything in here, I gotta get rid of this stuff. So between her and Margie, they've been trying to every day do a little bit, and get rid of it and clear
Those
that
purging
worm up.
those old documents.
Purging old expired documents that the statute of limitations, I guess, is run out on, and you don't have to keep them any longer. Like election stuff, you have to keep them for 1 year.
Mm-hmm.
We had 2012 in there.
Okay. All right.
So, yeah, so she's been trying to get rid of all that stuff, and that's why that went so high. And my bad, I didn't even notice it, because I didn't look.
Yeah.
But really, that's probably a good thing to get rid of those old records.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
We've got a $1,300 overspent zoning board postage. That's going to be reimbursed, so there'll be a journal entry at the end of the calendar year, so that's fine. Security system, there's a lot of service calls,
Mm-hmm.
and I'm not sure why, but probably because people like me don't know our codes.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, so we're overspent there, and we adjusted the budget for this coming year to compensate for that.
And a lot of that was the building 2 alarm that goes off every time it rains.
Mm-hmm.
And we were trying to, once and for all, find out where the leak is or what is going on. But something gets damp and makes that alarm constantly go off every time it's really, really humid, or if it rains like a lot, and then like the next couple of days it'll just keep.
Yeah.
So they came down and, you know, tried to track it and follow it and find out exactly which sensor was setting it off, and still never found it.
Okay.
So, yeah.
So we under budgeted for police new hire expenses. Again, this coming year, we've upped that. Hopefully we don't need to use too much more of it, but we do have an issue with the police stipends. The salary came out of the stipends account, so that looks, fire stipend, sorry. So that looks gross, but we'll be able to fix that later. I think.
So that one too, I mean, looking at it that way, it's like, oh my gosh. But if you look at the 110 and the 111 lines next to each other, they equal out. So we're way under budget on the fire salaries and way over budget on fire stipends. So they just got put in the wrong place.
They are updated now too,
Okay.
properly, where they're supposed to be taken out of in the system. So moving forward,
Going
everything
forward,
is
they'll
correct,
yeah. Okay.
So, you know, we overspent in supplies in a couple of the groups. Memorial Day, we overspent by like $1,600. I'm not sure what that is.
Flags.
That was flags.
It was flags, it was the band, there was a lot of stuff that they had to pay for. The band, trying to think, in years past, they had gotten that from either Stearns Burton or Capital Reserve. It's maybe just Stearns Burton.
It's just
Yeah, and now that the trustees of the trust funds are like seriously looking at every single thing, they're, you know, a band isn't a lecture, so they're not gonna let that fly. So we had to pay for that, and there were a couple other things, an extra porta potty that they didn't count on.
Didn't they have they had somebody there that, there was another payment that was made too for something specific.
That one was, there was one thing that was able to come, when they had that speaker
Yeah.
Mhm.
That came from Stearns Burton. That was able to be from that, but yeah. I wonder if that one didn't get coded as due from trustees
I
then.
can check.
Yeah. But yeah, so there were a lot of additional expenses that they didn't know of because it was the whole new committee and whatever. Sorry, go ahead, carry on. I'm done.
So really, the ones that are overspent, majority of these things are annual expenses, and maybe we were a little bit under budget, but not bad. So it doesn't look too bad. There's a lot that were, they hit the column, that are over 75%. Our tie, and we really just glanced through that list, but there's quite a few of them across the board that are, 80% or more. But again, nothing really gross. A lot of the ones that were overspent are small dollar items. So it's $100 here, $100 there. It's not a real big trend like we're gonna go way overspent.
Yeah.
So that was good.
Yeah, because overall, I think you had it at 64% of the budget spent.
Yep.
At the end of quarter 3.
Are you planning on kicking up pool salaries? Cause I imagine lifeguards are gonna go up again this year by quite a bit.
So we talked about that. We talked about making a whole bunch of adjustments.
Yeah,
So,
that's the budget review. This
Yeah.
is the quarterly.
Okay.
Yeah, the budget.
We'll
we
get
did
to that.
Or Todd.
The one that sticks out, if we could get a little bit more clarity, was the new hire for the police.
Indeed,
Well, and they were using Monster too,
yeah,
and sometimes like
the
it
advertising.
was like $350 a month, or like some of them were, and even Chief stopped using one of them as
Mm.
well, cause it was just like, he
Yeah.
wasn't getting anything from it.
Right,
You have to try.
right. Yeah, so it's the advertising for
Mm.
new hires.
Okay.
There are a number of officers from the Peterborough Police Department that'll be retiring in the next year and two. And maybe we can get some of them to work part-time.
Maybe,
We'll see. Alright,
All good?
do you have any questions, Lou?
No.
About Jason? No? Alright,
Alright,
good to move on.
moving on, preliminary budget review.
Alright, so, we're just starting this. We have a pretty good handle on the data now. We're just going through the reviews, and then we'll have to address, salaries and line items as we go through the reviews. But, let me just update this. So, right now, we've only really had the one police department review. Let me see if I can blow this up.
I would pay to kill the lights.
I know, I was gonna say the glare is
It's a little bit of
brutal.
a glare.
And that light is like right on the dollar line at the bottom. Oh, look at that, we can see now.
So our 24 budget was 3.356. We're at 3.614, an increase of about $258,000. There's no COLA adjustment in here, but there is salary adjustments where people have requested that, and we haven't reviewed those yet. So there are salary adjustments that you haven't seen yet in here. So
Okay. That's a part of that 258.
yes,
So they're not in, only, there's no COLA in there,
right. There's no COLA.
but there are adjustments for other people.
Yes,
Okay,
there were requests
okay.
in there, but they haven't been reviewed yet.
And what percentage of departments have reported, or like does this capture every department?
Every department's in here now, yeah.
Okay.
Yep. And I'm not aware of any major change, so.
There was something that you were doing last year about prioritizing certain things. Is that, some items being, more necessary than others?
Yep, so
Stage
priorities
one.
1, 2, and 3, priority is required, priority 2 is, we recommend doing it, priority 3 is a desirable.
Okay.
And we do have that throughout this as well. So what we,
And
so
is this
it's
all based on what, which priority?
1, 2, and 3, all 3 of them.
Oh, that's all three
Yeah.
combined?
Yeah.
Oh, so if you take out some threes, it'll go down.
Exactly, yes.
Oh,
And
We don't really have a-
increase is not a bad place to start.
no.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's awesome.
We don't have a lot of priority 3s, we do have some,
Yeah,
not a lot of them.
okay.
Fire department's reached out to me, they're looking to come in next week.
Yeah.
I just wanna kinda put it on your radar, cause I don't know that they've reached out to Luke or not. Like
Yep,
to see.
so the fire department did a great job pulling together the data. So they have same thing they did last year, they created a PowerPoint file, account, listed everything that's gonna be covered under that file in a total, and they've done that across the board, so they did a great job preparing for it. We've got that in this model right now, so,
And I haven't received anything from them for costs over $5,000 to $10,000, so I don't know if you guys need to forward that on to me to get stuff into the CIP or, but I'm not seeing the flow through.
yeah. We'll bring that up at our next meeting, yeah.
So do you think that works for you guys next Tuesday evening at 5?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
Alright,
That's great.
so I did let them know they should, contact Luke, and then you guys would make sure that somebody could be here with them, and then talk to Debbie, to get on the schedule, the flow of how it should have actually gone, but I didn't wanna have it get missed, so.
Great.
Just for close the gap.
Yep.
And I let Debbie know earlier too.
And I let Joe know when we sat down.
Yeah, perfect.
I think it's good getting them there sooner than later as well.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
I need to.
Yeah, and I have told anyone, if they would like to come before the selectmen and, to justify their budget or speak to it or whatever, then just let me know and I'll schedule an appointment or whatever. I'll schedule a time at one of the meetings,
Okay.
any department head or any
Many of them
anything.
reached out, or
Nope, just D in fire department and I think that was it so far. No one else has actually requested. I'm sure DPW, I'm sure Peter will come in and go over his, like the main departments, I feel like police, fire,
Yeah.
DPW, town office, whatever, but the other boards, if they're doing any kind of changes, like significant changes, then I feel like that should be a thing,
Mhm. Now,
So-
is it easy enough just to pull the 3s out, just to see what indiscriminately?
that's a great question.
Can I do that?
Don't think of anything.
yeah. Research.
Dennis could have answered that question. Okay, it's down to 235. Do you remember what it was before?
258.
Oh, good.
So let's see, basically break even.
I'm sorry, what did you just do to knock it down to?
Took all the priority threes out. So before, with the priority threes in it, it was 258,000,
Yeah, okay.
and now it's
I
235,000.
just didn't know how you got
So you're
Yeah.
close to break even.
No, we're up
Those-
$235,000 still. So we were over last year.
Yeah.
We were $250,000 over last year's budget. When we took out the threes, we're now 235. So we've dropped it about 20,000, but we're still $235,000 over.
Oh, I heard 35, I missed
No.
it. I was like, how the heck did you guys get a budget with $30,000? Okay, I misheard, sorry. I've been living in my own little happy bubble over here. I'm really impressed by everybody.
So that's
No.
about a
Can you-
7% increase, huh?
Can you pull the twos out?
No.
Well, that's really not fair.
Yeah.
Just
We can,
out of curiosity.
If you do, you're gonna see all ones next year.
but
Exactly.
And then the offices too.
Yeah.
all the wage adjustments are in there as twos.
Oh, it's twos.
So
Oh,
yeah,
alright.
this will probably be a good sized number. Yeah, down $68,000. So
So that's.
Okay, what did you get rid of that time?
that's
The
this is just showing
priority
up the
twos.
mandatory stuff. That
But that's wages.
yeah.
So
Yeah.
that's not even a thing. Not really a
Yeah,
consideration.
so a lot of things we did this year were a little bit different. For example, Peter with the DPW, we spent a lot of time trying to get details behind those big numbers, like maintenance is $120,000, and we've been spending that year after year. We still spend between $100,000 and $120,000, and we're going to do that again this year. When we did our budgeting, I asked him for details to what kind of maintenance do you really plan on doing. So he put in preventive maintenance, he put in oil changes, things like that, and that got us to like 20 grand of that 120. And so then I said, well, we know we need the 20 grand, but we also know that we're going to spend closer to the 120 based on prior trends and these unplanned failures. So what we did was we said the 20 grand is priority 1, but another 100 grand is a priority 2 with a recommendation based on prior, unplanned failures. So that you're going to see a lot more of that this year too. Is that we're saying, we know we have these fixed expenses, but we also know we have unplanned expenses that keep hitting us. So,
Right.
and we can talk about that. But those unplanned ones, we could also think about, say, well, maybe we don't need to have $100,000 in unplanned. It's probably not a good example because we do spend $120,000.
Right.
So
If you're spending it, it's
Yeah.
probably not a
Yeah.
good idea to.
right,
Take it
exactly.
And them are usually things that just happen.
All of a sudden,
Right.
exactly, yeah.
Yeah.
So, but we had that mindset when we went through this too, saying, if we can't justify it, let's put it as unplanned and we'll talk about it and make a decision as a team. Because maybe we don't say it's 100, maybe we say it's 80. But you're absolutely right. We've been spending 120, so if we dropped it down to 100, we may have a problem. Likewise, if we went to 120, we may still have a problem
Right.
because we don't really know it's going to fail. But part of the fun.
Oh, the other thing with the that was just the third quarter thing I just thought of was with Monadnock Security was down at the pool or somewhere down the park. We spent
Yeah, I got
a little bit of but it was still.
Oh, the alarm went off a couple times because the codes got removed.
No, it was when they had to go down there and show you how to put in a new code and all that
Yeah,
kind of
'cause
stuff.
Her, Shauna's code
Yeah.
wasn't the same, so the alarms went
it
off
didn't work.
twice.
Yeah, so we had to pay for them to go there
And we have to pay $145 for them to install a new code.
yeah.
So we got a code for rec to get put in, thankfully, because we needed it.
Mm.
And then also, I think there was a couple things with the old town hall too, if I remember correctly.
Yeah,
The beginning of
yep,
the
there
year.
was.
Yeah.
Now, was there a particular department or area or line that you could, pull us to, like, point us to that kinda had a larger increase than others, or?
Fire department has increases across the board.
Mhm.
So I would guess that's the biggest hit. Let me just jump through this.
But does that, and that probably includes the work that was done to the new fire truck, or the rebuilt fire truck.
I think that came out of a
No.
capital plan, didn't it?
Yes, that came
Okay.
out of capital reserve, and it's not projected for 2025.
Okay,
This is the 2025 budget.
gotcha.
But if I remember correctly, Joe, they're also they're adding new line items in this year
Mm.
too,
Yeah,
for like clothing.
Background check.
Yeah, not looking to
background
get
checks.
too deep into the weeds in it, it was just sorta,
Yeah.
yeah, it's just.
what stands out as the biggest
You can
increase?
see on the header right there,
Yeah.
DPW has 67,000 increase.
Okay, go back. Why would DPW have 120,000 for computer services?
What?
No.
Oh, that's the next line, I think, vehicle.
Yeah,
That's vehicle.
Oh,
That's a
okay,
vehicle
okay.
maintenance.
Yeah, it's hard to line that up.
Okay,
That's what you were just talking about, right, Joe?
Exactly, yeah, yeah. Yeah, so DPW went up 67,000. Fire went up 46,000. General government buildings went up 51,000. And Jason, we pulled out some of those building maintenance ones and put that in the capital. So we'll talk about it, but it's not in this budget now. There's a few items that were like 25,000, roof on something or other, and so I know you
Oh,
talked to
that he
Peter
was
about
planning on doing next year, and I asked, well, what about the maintenance, capital
Yeah.
reserve maintenance, when it's a roof or?
Transfer
Yeah,
station.
I need those two, Joe.
Okay, good, yeah. I'll share that with you.
But was there a new line put in on your end of it? Did you break that maintenance into, building improvement is a new line that was
Right, so-
added, but it's not in our
Custodial
budget.
So actually, building improvement is in the budget, but it wasn't used, it was a zero balance one, so when you do your report, you have to select show zero balance accounts as well. So this year I saw that, and I said we should be using that account as well, so the account existed already, we just weren't using it,
Mhm.
so.
Because how do you differentiate between improvement and maintenance?
I
A
think we
new
went,
roof would be
I think
See,
the roof would
that's
be
what I mean.
maintenance, yeah.
What's
I was
that?
thinking the whole would be maintenance.
I do
Right.
have we have examples we can talk through when we do the review.
But is it worth it, is what I'm getting at,
I think it was,
to be
yeah.
documenting everything so precisely. I mean, if you're putting a new roof on, or you're adding a sun deck off of here, does anyone really care if it's an improvement or maintenance?
I don't think you will when you look at your capital reserve, because the key will be that if it's coming out of that building fund that has a big balance that we sock stuff away to, then you should be able to say, okay, which of these projects needs to be done next year versus put out 2 or 3 years, and you as a select board can start mapping those expenses to balance to say, all right, this is what has to be done this year, this is what can be deferred to next year, and this gets priority for, however you guys wanna balance that. If you know there's a fire truck coming in 2027, then that means you can budget and say, all right, well, we either do it in 2026 or it's gotta go out to 2028, or that's the beauty of
that's
what you guys should be
capital.
able to get to that point where you can approve different projects and map out, what if we put this project in this year versus in another.
But even like that, like to that point, this isn't necessarily gonna go into that plan, because we're looking to do it as a part of maintenance for next year, like on.
as part of the budget, not
Part of the
not
operating-
out of
The
capital.
operating budget, yeah. So not
That's-
everything that's over 5 or 10,000 is gonna go into the capital plan, it's gonna be what's like projected out multiple years.
So I think this is where we're gonna need, you guys are gonna want to have a definition. Because otherwise, if it's $20,000, the townspeople may not grumble. If it's $100,000 and it's things that we are saying, hey, we're gonna live within this allowance of what goes into the capital reserve fund, should be paying for X big investments over time so that our tax rates stay low, again, if it's an emergency, that's a whole different story, right?
Well, and that's what we're still,
But-
yeah, like, we still have maintenance items that need to be taken care of sooner rather than later, like, where we're not able to project out years and just to the point that we're able to at least say, hey, we know that we're gonna need to do this next year,
Right,
is a good point, cause before we were at just fixing leaks that were actively leaking during rainstorms, and now we're working towards, you know, like pushing it out,
and I don't know how much is in those funds, right?
you know.
In theory, when we did windows a couple of years ago, we did doors the year before that, or windows and doors together, or something like that, and we did a roof. So those things are, we did have the money to do them. And I don't know where the account stands now. It might be that there's enough there to do $25,000 in repairs next year.
Mhm.
Yeah, the
So-
capital
so-
reserve does have, it hasn't been used a whole lot.
And again,
Right.
you know, what is it being used for? It's not like we're replacing one window. One window I could see coming out of maintenance. Your bigger projects though,
Yeah, so that $100,000 he's talking about, it's not one item. It's all these little items that add up that aren't necessarily
That's
a
it.
capital. So we're talking budget
okay,
and all
Yeah,
that
okay,
stuff is
gotcha.
capital.
Though, $20, $30, $50,000 roof repair should go into the capital improvement
Right.
plan.
Right.
Right.
When we're able to
Right,
project,
right.
yeah, like to
It's
Yeah,
different
project
to
that
say
out.
exactly.
you have $20,000 in paint for this building, paint for that
Right.
building, caulking, and
Exactly.
one window, right?
And that's what we're talking
right,
about
yeah,
here,
that's
because
not-
it's budget.
yeah, yeah. That's not capital really.
So these are the items that are in the building improvement one now, and like LED lighting in offices, adding a shower to the fire station. You know, these are improvements. We added the handicap ramp here as an improvement, but of course moved to capital. But these were things that we said were building improvement. And then building maintenance. There's an air filter replacement. We need to paint one of the DPW buildings. I think we moved the fire brigade building title over to town offices. Repairing outlets, so there's improvements, like switching over to LED lighting, and then there's painting and repairing. So we're using accounts that way.
Mhm.
And the air vac is in there twice.
One for the fire department, one for the
Oh,
DPW.
fire and DPW, sorry. And did he, so we have to do maintenance on the HVAC stuff, the rooftop units and all that kind of stuff. Did he put money in for that?
No. Do we do that ourselves?
Huh?
Do we do that ourselves?
No.
I think it's gonna take Peter longer than every other department to get a full systems plan of, you know, what's a 30-year maintenance plan look like? What does every year maintenance look like? I think it's gonna take him a little bit of time, and it's only been 6 months, and even if he was able to give this a lot of dedication, he has the biggest plan when you look at
Oh,
ongoing
it's a lot.
systems and forecasting, right? It's one thing to say we need a fire truck every 30 years. It's another thing to think about we have to rebuild and maintain every building every 30 years. What's
Right.
it cost? Boom, give me a plan.
Right.
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's kind of interesting because you think how there was a road committee that, you know, generally assessed the condition of the roads and kind of did a replacement schedule. So it's almost like that. Eventually, you work towards for all the buildings. It's like
There is,
somebody
yeah.
looks at the building like, oh, I don't know, probably in 5 years it's going to need a roof. It doesn't need one tomorrow, but it needs
Right.
one.
And that's where I
No,
see
There
him
used to be a
going.
building committee.
Oh
Yeah.
Their minutes are right back
Oh,
there.
really?
Mm.
I think that would
I
be
know.
wise, yeah.
It would be,
Yeah.
it'd be excellent. It's just a matter of finding people who are willing.
Mm-hmm.
And have that skill.
And knowledgeable.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, somebody needs to
I mean,
look
I can go
it
look
like,
at it.
have
That
somebody-
chimney looks bad. You need to replace that. That's about
Yeah.
all you get from me.
Yeah.
And really, in years past, the DPW didn't have a line-by-line budget for what their maintenance plans were.
Right.
They just had a dollar line. Dollar said, okay, here's our budget, we'll try to hit that, we'll do whatever maintenance.
Mm-hmm.
So Peter did a good job this year where he's researching, asking people for what kind of maintenance that their departments need, and we're trying to capture that. But we're still early. I mean, he'll improve every year, and we'll get more data every year.
Yeah.
But
Oh, and like you say, it's not just DPW. It's DPW, General Government Buildings, Transfer Station. You know, he's
Yeah,
in charge
and
of
three
a
are-
lot of.
Yeah.
They
you know,
keep-
stuff.
They keep him hopping
Yeah.
between them three.
Right.
Oh, yeah.
He is looking forward to, we've already talked about 2026, him and I, like, he and I have had conversations about that budget, so
Mm-hmm.
he is like looking
Thinking
ahead.
ahead.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, what can you not do this year, do in 2, you know, next year.
Just think about what the value will be to the town if we can get to where we're on a checklist,
I know.
you know, I mean, that would be really the bomb to somebody, you
Yeah.
know.
Well, for so many years, everything's had Band-Aids
Yeah.
and not a fix, that you could have fixed it 3 times over had you done the fix.
Right. Yeah.
But you spent Band-Aid money and, you know, like,
Yeah, not to cut this part
Yeah.
short.
I know, we have 6 o'clock, we have,
The library's coming in at 6.
yep, so,
And I did
So-
Dee's in here to talk about the planning board budget.
Yep.
Can we allot more time? Next week's light, schedule wise, right?
Yep.
mhm,
Yeah, so maybe after fire, we can just kinda roll through, Lou and Jason, take a look at the preliminary budget and pick out some areas that we wanna kinda highlight and talk about before even departments come in.
Yeah.
Alright.
So Joe, I just looked that up. It was in 2021 that there was building improvement. There's $5,000 in there, and then we voted to get that off of there. And just have it all building maintenance in
Mhm.
2022. So that's where the line is still there.
Yeah.
But not used. But it's a very recent change.
So if you would rather those items be in the maintenance one, I can move it over easy enough now, as opposed to using the old account, but
Yeah.
I saw it there and said it really makes sense having improvements as one that are more likely to get cut than the maintenance items, but It's up to
I
you.
don't remember if it was, yeah,
mm,
I'm more of a detailed guy, so I'd rather have more
Yeah.
information than less information.
and I think we're looking for detail, like inside, like,
yeah,
yeah,
detail inside the maintenance line,
yeah.
yeah.
Alright, yeah, we can come back to that though next week.
I have one thing, Jason, do you really think that the handicap entrance could be done for 20,000?
I have no idea. I have yet to price it out.
Okay, I was
I
wondering
haven't
if
done
that
a
20,000.
thing with it, yeah.
Yeah, because
I
the
doubt
numbers
it.
that I've heard before were closer to 50.
Yeah, I would, just off the cuff, I would say that's more reasonable. Well, I don't think it's reasonable, I think it's ridiculously expensive.
Yeah,
But it's probably likely.
more likely.
Yeah, more likely, yeah. Depends on how much volunteer work you can get. So,
Planning
Alright.
board budget,
So we're going to planning board budget?
Yep.
Just one of the relaxing chairs.
it's a big jug.
Oh yeah. Is this system gonna work for me? Let's see. What do you have here? Wow. Connection are we talking? Okay, here's a USB. I can almost reach.
That gonna work?
Yeah, right here. Wow. It's very short. Move it in. Okay. Okay.
I
Let's
got
see
my
if it
thing
works.
on my He's switching
Oh, well.
computers. I don't know
Why
if
are
it's
you
really-
sleeping? Don't sleep.
It was my idea.
Okay, what do I have to do?
You broke it.
I broke it. Okay, well I'm in my USB.
It may be a video resolution issue, if you could bump up the resolution on your
Alright,
laptop.
is that a thing?
Well, it's not connected to HDMI 3.
Yeah, I would say it's not connected to the
Yeah.
HDMI things.
Check the connection. Press the source device with what? This remote. Ah,
Oh,
there you go.
Nice.
I just threatened it. Okay. Planning board. Let me see if I can zoom in without losing anything. You don't need to see my name or any of that stuff really. Okay. Okay, so I'm starting at top. Planning board training, we're up 1,000, and that's basically because of the new planning board admin. So there's a whole list of trainings for him and costs. Getting him his notary and all that stuff. Technical assistance. So this is one I had a little bit of a question on. Maybe one of us would have seen it in the budget. When I pulled up the year to date, I see Upton and Hatfield was in technical assistance. So I'm assuming that was just legal consulting versus the legal case.
Yeah, so when they had,
Oh,
exactly.
well,
It's-
he's here.
So, I think last year we put this down to do a rewrite of our cluster stuff, which we don't have a bill for currently yet, but it is in process.
Just came in.
I'm sorry,
It just came in,
what did?
The bill
the
for that.
bill for district stuff.
No idea what you're talking about.
Yeah, no, it's fine. Debbie,
Alright,
you can just
so-
let her.
So the stuff that we want to do with cluster housing is out with the consultant being written. We don't, I know we don't have a bill for it yet. I'm happy if we do, but I don't know of anything yet. So that is different from consulting on cases, which for this year we had thought we weren't going to use our full 20,000, so we lumped it all together in our legal account. So there's legal defense, which is we have an active case against us, and then there's consulting. So how do I keep the town out of trouble? So things come in and I send things out. So I don't know how we break that down.
Yep.
I would assume, to me it is, and in the current budget, what we've tried to do is technical assistance is things that we're gonna do for rewriting our regs over time. And then there's legal defense, which is defending the town. And then for cases that come from the planning board, and then we have $6,000 for consulting on cases. We have needed some of these consulting things. They're not billable. So the things like, there are documents that have to go to the lawyer for legal review and the applicants pay for that. But there are times where we just consult to say, how do we stay out of trouble? And this stuff has added up way quicker than we had anticipated, but sometimes we are mixing our consulting and our legal defense right now. I have yet to figure out how we really separate this, but we definitely went over this year, or we're going to go over this year. The good news is, we should have heard yesterday, I would assume we'll hear tomorrow on one of the cases that is at Superior Court. Their 60 days is up and they're a stickler. And the other case that is the ZBA case will be before the town by the 28th of November. So we will be able to get a much better idea of how to price that line by the 1st of December. But as of right now, we had thought the 20,000 would cover everything, and one legal defense case is just kicking our butt right now. So I've priced this as though we are going to go into next year the way we are in this year.
Yeah, so on this year to date, I pulled the detail, what's actually been paid out of this account, notwithstanding bills that may have recently arrived. But yeah, our Upton and Hatfield consulting, say, was 2,400, and then we've spent out 219 right now, and it sounds like there's more bills on the way, so I'm sure that'll bring us up to or above our 20.
Yeah.
So yeah, and that's why this year we have it split out into some new accounts. So like this legal planning is that case consulting stuff, or board consulting, and so this is a totally new line item. So it is a increase from 0.
So even though it's still under, are you changing the number from 391?
So what we
Yeah.
did, what we did was we said that 20,000 was mandatory, but we recommend adding another $6,000 to do the ad hoc consulting. So
Oh.
that's in there as a priority too, the 6,000.
No, it's the one.
That's a one?
Yeah, it
It's a
is.
one,
It is
yeah.
still on the one
Sorry.
line. Yeah.
I think what we did was we said that
Just a way to break that.
this year we put it all together under 20, and so it was hard to see how we were going to use it. So we came back and added the $6,000 line to say, if this was, in theory, we were going to break this out, but we want you to see it separately so you can see why 26? Why not a nice round number? So that's why we broke the two line items out.
Do you want a separate line for that or no? You wanna keep, you can, I get what you're doing here to show the difference,
I would be fine
but-
with that if it would help us keep track of things, which I think it would, but I don't yet know we have the sophistication to make it work right for us.
Okay.
So that's where, I'd love to do that, I just don't know that the system is going to really allow us to put things in the right place.
Right, because the bills would have to be coded then
Yeah,
appropriately.
yeah.
Right,
Yeah.
so from now on, any Upton and Hatfield bills I get, I'll give them to you, you code them and get them to Mindy so they're coded. Cause I've been coding them all, and I didn't realize there was a technical assistance in whatever.
Well, we put it all
But
together, so it has.
when we did talk about that
Yeah.
afterwards,
Yeah.
so since then I've been doing
It's
the
just messy.
Madolo stuff as technical and, yeah.
Well, and Madolo did quite a bit on the legal defense
Initially, but not recently, cause they list out no, we can
Yeah.
talk about that
Yeah.
later.
So here's one line item for master plan, $1,000 that we didn't use in 24, so we're taking it off for 25. And computer services. So basically, this is broken out. So we have a big decrease in this budget from 8,500 to 1,500, just basically so we can break out what they are. So this 1,587 is the regular ongoing subscriptions, Dropbox, Zoom, that kind of stuff. And then we separate out just
Wait a minute, that needs to go down to 1,050?
So can we go through the line items? Cause
Sure.
There you go.
Yeah.
So the prices that you had and that you provided, I went to Zoom and I selected the business one. There was no municipal charge for Zoom or Dropbox or Adobe, so I went with the latest prices as of the other day.
Oh, I thought Debbie checked the
Mm.
prices.
Our bills every month are the $15.99 and or $19.99 for
Huh, interesting,
those. That is not what we pay.
interesting.
We also get a discount, if we pay yearly. That's what Peter does, he pays Adobe once a year.
Yeah,
And
It's-
it's $240.
I tried to do that and it wouldn't let me do it for a
Yeah.
year. I don't know
Huh.
why, but because the or mine is and planning is, and I can't remember, one of them is and one of them isn't. One of them's monthly, the other one's yearly, but those are not prices that we pay.
Well, and I
What I
also,
gave you before, what you had in there before is what the
and
real
prices might go up a little bit, so if you wanna leave it at 1,500, I'm not gonna, however, I do want you to know that Stephen and I thought that when we initially did this, that we were going with the same vendors and organizations that all the other folks in our organization were going with, and that gave us some better rates. What we are saying now is if all of this is totally dependent on how we want to proceed, we may not need Zoom, we may be able to use the Teams that's part of our current organizational structure. And so we want to relook at this line item over next year, and we anticipate this would go down because there's gotta be a more efficient way to do things than having all of these different subscriptions, but for right now, we don't have that plan. So we're itemizing it all out and saying, here's what we think we need, and we anticipate it will come in a little bit lower.
So what are you subscribing to Adobe for?
That was one of our questions, was what do we really need? Because Adobe is, I think, for things like meeting notices and stuff like that, which again, that shouldn't be, we should be able to do that out of Word, right? So that's why we think that we can get these costs down. We're not.
Adobe is a PDF reader, although it can be an editor too, but if no one's using the editing side of Adobe, then that could be kicked right off.
And
'cause
that's
it's
the
just a
discussion,
reader.
that's the discussion that we've had this
Yeah.
week, right? So we thought we were, again, getting kind of a bulk organizational package of things, and we didn't realize that we're gonna evaluate everything in this line and say how do we collapse some of this? Because some of these things may be multi-purpose and we don't need the individual suite of things that we have.
Yeah, that's a good idea.
So the Adobe isn't $59.99 though, it's less than that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
And-
I'm just saying.
And also, Jen was the one Jen requested getting Adobe because you have to sometimes electronically sign the a document or whatever, and you can't do it if you don't have Adobe.
And
And-
that's why
But
we
you
didn't
can do
wanna
it
rush.
with the reader.
We did not want to rush
But
into
there's
any-
other things. She got the reader first,
And it wasn't.
and it didn't do everything she needed it to do. So she
And we
got
don't
that.
wanna rush into making a decision in the next month when we might need to suss out a little bit. We've already gained quite a bit of information over the past 2 weeks, and I'll be traveling, yada, yada, yada. So we have intended to make this line more efficient, we just don't know exactly what that's gonna look like yet. So you still have the individuals components listed there.
So that could likely change before the final budget.
Yep.
Got it.
Yep, and the only thing we're adding onto this line item that we don't currently have is a minute software, just to save a lot of labor on Steven's part.
Now, this is one that, I think it may help the select board to know that contrary to other minutes, best minute practices is often what's your motions, what were the topics discussed and the motions, boom, that's it. One of the things that Stephen learned going to training was, and we knew this, that our minutes needed to be, ZBA and planning board need more detailed minutes. And so we are playing with a way that, it's not taking him 8 to 10 hours to do minutes.
Right. Yeah.
So he is finding ways, it's gonna take some work, but we are in the process. And once we find a method, we could offer it to the ZBA if they want it, but they may not want it. Just letting you know that we're trying to find a way to be more efficient.
Yeah, it's a major undertaking to listen to the 4-hour meeting 3 times and write the minutes.
You think?
It doesn't sound enjoyable. So then on this computer service line, we broke out these things. So 6,200 is this ClearGov capital planning. The annual fee, we had a setup fee in 24, which is not recurring, so we're down to the 6,200. And then we have a separate line item, 3440, which is a capital planning transparency module. But we're thinking we probably should delay it for another year. It's a priority 3, because I think we probably still have to get our ducks in a row for.
Yeah,
we're
I'm
not
planning
prepared for
to
it.
hunker down and focus on this tomorrow, but
Yeah.
I don't recommend that we do this year. It's in there for the future, but I don't recommend that we do this year.
No change in notices. We do have a little increase in supplies, which maybe we should go a little bit more. Our usage year to date, which seems to basically be things from Staples, like just supplies. We're at 533 so far this year. So maybe we should be, 600 in this line item instead of what we're at 350. And then this also includes the state manuals, the books for the board, and that kind of stuff.
So there are 13 people in the planning board?
There are 7 members, up to 5 alternates, and an admin.
That's just for the
Do you
planning.
have 5 alternates?
We currently have 4, I believe. And the other thing that's interesting is what happens if we have turnover mid-year.
During, yeah.
Yeah,
Well, they should hand over the book.
okay.
Yeah.
I'm gonna chase somebody down just for that.
No, but I mean,
Yes, I don't disagree with you.
leave their stuff.
I'm just saying that we started with a net of no turnover assumptions and
Yeah.
fully staffed board.
Cool. Postage, we're up $50, which is just based on actual usage, and postage keeps increasing. And then there's reimbursable postage, which is the thing we keep going back and forth on.
A bane of my existence for the past
Yes.
7 years.
So we have a $1 placeholder in here, but it's gonna go over budget because the reimbursement comes on another line item.
So, I've talked to the auditor in past years, and they're like, it's just because it's such a small amount of money, just do the adjustment at the end of the year. But then, the adjustment doesn't get done by the auditors in time for the town report for the budget to be printed, so every year it looks like we went over budget on that line, even though it's reimbursed. So the final thing, it actually zeroes itself out. So I'm trying to work with Carlene and Nancy to see if we can create either a due to, due from, or some kind of way to not even have that 626 line on there. Same thing with the ZBA, because they have the same issue. So anything that's reimbursed by the applicant shouldn't be on the budget technically, but it has been forever and ever, and we always get into this discussion every budget season. So I'm trying to figure out a way with Nancy and Carlene to either create a new internal line for the general ledger to make it, because we're getting this money in, here's the debit, here's the credit.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So we're trying to get rid of that line altogether on the budget.
Oh, makes
So-
sense. Just glad that there's no longer money being budgeted for it.
Well, it was always
Well-
either $1 or 0. It never had a dollar amount budgeted, but
Yep. So that means the total change in the budget is 8,800, which I guess by percentage is quite a bit, but it's really just driven by the legal, our estimates of
you're taking the 3440 out, right?
yeah, and I could take the 3440 out.
Yeah.
Put it here.
So the change.
So the change is 5,400 now.
Here's some food for thought. The
Okay.
entire budget was 4,370 in 2021. Now the change is twice as much as the entire budget was.
Well, now
And-
you're adding
and-
Legal.
20,000,
And- yeah, I was
26,000
just
in
gonna say,
legal
legal is-
fees.
I'm telling you,
0.
I'm
And-
just
and-
giving
and-
you food for thought.
Yeah. Well, that legal stuff wasn't in.
It
there
wasn't
at
in that
all.
budget.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was-
But take out the
All
26,000.
the legal lived under select board back then.
Yeah.
Take out the 26,000. What do you end up with? 20.
12,000.
12,013. Yeah.
So it's, if you took that out, then it would have
Half
from
of-
2021 go from 5,500
Yep.
was the budget then.
Yeah, half of which is software. So you're basically back to it.
Oh yeah.
It's the
Yeah, if you take out the
Clear
software
out.
and the legal, you good.
yeah.
What was
And then
that?
training, we incorporated training
Oh yeah,
into
more
it.
training.
Yeah.
Uh,
The ClearGov module is 6,200, so that's about half the remaining.
So
That's
all of
the-
that
that's
stuff
the
was
annual?
coming out of
Yeah.
BOS before, is
Yeah,
what
it's
you're
all.
saying?
No, the legal had its own line. It wasn't under BOS. It was just
No, with the training and
the
things.
training. No, that was under training.
Oh, yeah,
Was
that
under
was-
Training's
education.
been
Yeah.
flat
That's
for
always been there.
a while.
Yeah.
How does the budget work? Admin wages under whose budget?
Under
Board of
the town.
Selectmen.
So that comes under ours.
Board of Selectmen budget, yeah.
Mhm.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
We took the training just because we wanted to make sure it was all specifically itemized out. I don't think you guys itemize
Yeah.
out.
Training was there, but it was $250.
Yeah,
Yeah,
nice.
not reality.
So yeah, we don't
No,
Well,
you
for
didn't.
2021, I don't remember where COVID hit, but
Well, I
we
mean,
weren't
just to
doing
go to a
anything for a
conference, it's
while.
$115.
Yeah.
You know.
Cool. Any other comments on regular budget?
I don't have any.
That door's open, Danielle.
Lou,
I'm sorry, what?
any comments on the planning board budget?
No. Okay.
Jason? No? Alright,
Very good.
do you have a little bit of time to hang out for the library to get jumped?
How long's the library?
Oh, they have about half hour allocated for it.
I got it.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm fine.
Sorry. Speaking for Joe.
How you doing, library folks?
You ready for us?
We're ready.
Excellent. Hey,
I guess my timing was good.
Yeah.
Anything to say?
Not much.
may I plug my?
Yep.
Thank you so much.
Hi, this is you. Thank you, Ben.
And Debbie, I emailed you this earlier
wow.
today.
Thank you.
So,
Oh, I never
but
saw
here's a
it.
printout. You're welcome. Here's a printout.
Thank you.
We were given the feedback that as wonderful as technology is, sometimes having the hard paper in front of you is a little easier to follow. So we listened to that feedback. We printed you off some goodies.
Thank you.
You're welcome. So while I am getting set up for the money component, Brenda is actually gonna take over the program portion to start.
Hi,
Brenda.
everybody. Thank you for having us tonight. Melanie Kane, our director, wanted to be here, but she's sick. So I told her to keep her germs at home.
Mm-hmm.
We are
Thank you for
all
that.
Getting ready for Thanksgiving. All right, so first I just want to talk a little bit about what our library does offer our community right now. What services do we provide? And we have a lot of programming for children. Our library focuses a lot for children's stuff. We have story time. We've collaborated with, what's that? Who does the mom and baby?
River Center.
River Center.
Mhm.
They come in and do a mom and baby time. We have a new thing offered through, is it MITRE in, no, what is it?
So,
This is your
Millsboro.
HDMI.
They do,
this one
Curiosity Labs, is a science class that we offer to the sort of middle-aged kids. And then, of course, we have our summer reading program, which is always a big hit in this community. For our adult programming, we don't offer as much, and it's something we do want to work on. Currently, we have a Scrabble night. We have some people get together. We have a crafting night. We just started our crocheting and knitting hour. We have book club. We offer tax prep assistance and fuel assistance. And later on in Gretchen's part of the presentation, you'll see how many people actually use those. I was pretty surprised how many people actually use all those things. Future programming for adults, we'd like to be able to offer some computer program type classes like Excel. I know Melanie's big, she'd like to look on Medicaid assistance programs, and suggestions are welcome. If anyone in the community has ideas, please come by the library and tell us. We're always looking for something new. If we could dream big, a mobile book service for the elderly and the disabled isolated at home. It would be nice to be able to bring services to our elderly community if at all possible. Some of them don't have cars anymore or licenses and can't get out as much. So some recent events that we've had at the library, our big one is Falcons. I don't know if anyone here got to go to that. It was really a lot of fun. Kids had a great time. The school program liked it so much, they're trying to offer it like for the whole school. It was that well loved. We offered a reptile. I don't know if you can see, Miss Melanie got to hold the biggest snake I've ever seen in my life this summer. We do cookies with Santa. Last year we did a woman who dared talk. It was a woman out of Peterborough who was an advocate for the community. And we also did Susie Spikeall Bear Talk, and we tried to do a paint night once a year. We also offer some programming for the Historical Society. The Historical Society has 3 or 4 programs a year. This past year we did the Underground Railroad in New Ipswich. That was really interesting.
I missed that.
Oh, it was so good. Yeah, we did one on the old Homestead Farm. And the Dr. Goodby, the Abenaki history in New Hampshire was also really interesting. We'd like to offer more of those. I'd like to add too that some of the programming that we do is funded through our Stearns and Burton grant. So we are always looking how to find ways to help fund our programming and not have to come come out of our budget. So with that, yes, I will, oh, well, this is a good kind of graph. It kind of shows you the total participation. August 23 to August 24, we are more and more every year steadily climbing. People are using our library, and that's a good sign. It means that our tax dollars are going to good money.
Does that include the electronic books also? In that, or is that walk-in?
That's walk-in.
Okay.
I believe that's walk-in. Yeah. Some services that have been requested by our patrons that we cannot offer at this time. Streaming service. This came up, I think, last year when we were here.
Mm-hmm.
Somebody mentioned it. Yeah. So we did look into them, and it's approximately $5,000, and that would put a substantial strain, you can imagine, on our budget. I know, it's a lot of money to get those accounts. We would love to go to full-time hours. We've been asked that before. That would also incur, obviously, some more costs because most of our warrant article money that we ask is to cover pretty much salary and payroll. And then available space for homeschool children. Sometimes they are looking for a new space to, we don't have a lot. Although, I'd like to say, we did get a grant last year. We finished off our basement area for storage, and now the back room of our library is actually a room you can use. Melanie's encouraged some school board members to have different meetings there, and we're starting to use the space more for the public and not as storage. So that was a good bonus for us last year. And then the big question comes up is how do we pay for it all? Why we're here tonight to discuss and talk with you about our warrant article that we ask for every year. And with that, I will let Gretchen take it over.
And before we get to that point, Mitch, did you want to say anything about the tracking improvements on participation and how we actually derived this participation graph and comparisons?
Well, I know that a couple of years ago, before I actually became a trustee, I understand that the board had requested to have data, to show the library usage and how to serve the community. So we set up a software program similar to the budget, town budget. It's an Excel program where we capture all sorts of information regarding patrons, regarding age, demographics, what kind of activities people are accessing, whether activities are successful or not, and we gauge our planning for the coming year. Every year in January, we have an annual retreat so that we can take a look at the data and say, okay, what are our priorities, what's working, what's not working, and plan going forward. And as you can see, I think you have more data in your PowerPoint than is up on the screen, but you can see that we've improved our numbers, and in looking at what we focus on as a library, obviously we're not just a book lending or a book reading institution. Libraries across the country are no longer that, as you are well aware of. We see our function and our role over the course of time as resources permit to further collaborate with other organizations, both in New Ipswich, but also in other towns that help serve New Ipswich, and ways that we can increase the functions just to serve the community, besides literature and books, such as the tax assistance, such as computer assistance, et cetera, et cetera. And so we see ourselves not only expanding within the confines of our building in terms of the traditional library services, but also as a kind of a multi-purpose service center for the community. I know that for several years that I've been aware of, there's been discussion, for instance, that there's no senior center in town. We can't be a senior center, we just don't have that space, but we are brainstorming in terms of ways we can further assist older adults in this community, serve a lot of the needs such as the Medicaid assistance, such as mobile book delivery service, and so forth. As people are aging in this community, and if you're not aware, the Department of Health and Human Services for New Hampshire and Dartmouth Hitchcock Hospital have put together statistics on every community in New Hampshire regarding aging. And it shows that New Ipswich is aging faster than most other communities in the state. The average age across the board in New Hampshire is in the mid-30s. The average age in this community is now 45. And I suspect that that will continue, but unfortunately we have to collectively, not just the library, come up with ways to serve the people in this community because we don't have the resources that more affluent communities have. And so we see the library as being instrumental in providing that component, or at least being one of the ways in which those needs get addressed in this community. So we're pleased with our statistics. We show that the library is being utilized more. I think there's been significant improvement, particularly over the last 12 to 15 months in terms of the organization of the library, in terms of customer relations and involvement with other community groups. Having Millipore, for instance, come and have their researchers and people that work in the science end of Millipore come and do lab work with kids at the library. It's a collaboration not only with Millipore but with the school district. We're very thrilled about that, and those are some of the examples of things that we want to continue to pursue in the future.
Great. Thanks, Mitch. So before I go on to the actual nuts and bolts of this whole thing, I'd just like to offer to the select board that I was invited and I accepted to become part of the master plan steering committee 3D. I'm thrilled to be part of that process, and my intention about joining that was to have a better idea about the needs of our community in 2025, because the last master plan that was even explored was 20 plus years ago, and there's been a lot of changes, as you see in the numbers, both in population and in need and in the funds that are required to make sure that everyone is treated fairly in this town. So my hope as a trustee of the library is to really advocate for continued community building, really sharing the resources that we do have in town, and to take the financing of all of that really seriously, and to be respectful of our town. So saying that, we will move on to, this is probably the slide that you are most interested in, but this is our current operating budget. And this shows you how we have split up our funds. So we want to very much express to the select board that we are being very responsible and very strategic in our planning. We are covering a great deal of resource split 50-50. You know, we take ownership of a significant portion of keeping our library open, and this just shows you where it goes. And we have to balance the budget. We're a nonprofit, and we don't have wiggle room. So moving on, I know that in the past there has been questions about our endowment. I think this comes up every year. We had a very strong heart-to-heart conversation with our advisors. It's very much like what the trustees of the trust funds do. So we meet, we get a statement every month, we address it at every trustee meeting, and we have an annual review. We just had our annual review with Monadnock Capital Group, and they have been, managing the endowment for decades now. I mean, 20, is that what they said?
I think so.
Like 20, only going on 25. They are doing a fabulous job. The reason I have this graphic here for you is for you to understand that it may look like upfront it's a big pot of money, but the directive that we have is to only use the dividends off of what that pot of money creates for us in any fiscal year. So as you can see here, we only have access to 6% of that fund on an ongoing basis. So the balance changes every month, as everybody else's accounts do. But this is just to sort of demonstrate that the only reason why the balance stays strong is because we have invested a significant portion of that fund to be our savings account. It's not intended to be usable money every single year. And if anybody ever wants to review our financials or review that endowment, again, we have open books. We're hiding nothing. I know that there's some preconceived notions out there about how much the library has, and on face value, it looks substantial.
What is the number, or would you rather not say?
No, I'm again, open books. So as of last month, at the end of October, it was 850,000. That's not, again, that's the
Split it
balance.
this way, yeah.
Yes, so this is how it splits out. And obviously, depending on how the equities market works, the bond market works, and every year, they have been fabulous about coming and explaining what they're forecasting. They're watching our account every single day, and we have great faith that they're managing the library's money very, very well and very helpfully. So the question becomes, and this is a little scary. The question becomes is, if the library has that big pot of money, why do we ask the town's people for funds? I would just like to say that we as trustees have a very deep understanding that we are obligated for a fiduciary responsibility into perpetuity. That's how the endowment fund was set up. With that in mind, we talked to the advisors and we asked them, can you chart out for us, based on unknowns, best guesses, best estimates, best averages that they could come up with. What they did for us is they took, and I was told not to provide spreadsheets because I know that they get a little eye blurring. So this chart represents that if we, the library, continue to meet the town 50-50 in our annual operating expenses at a 2.2% inflation rate, and if our investment portfolio on average gains us a 5.5% dividend return, which we all know if that's not how it works, but we had to start somewhere, that we would by 2036, at the current rate, we would be out of funds to operate.
In other words, that 850 is gone.
If we did not take funds from the town.
No.
That's
This
meaning
is
50-50.
this is no town. So if we had to operate on only our endowment, we would only be able to keep the doors open for 12 more years. If you go down further, if we continue to meet the town 50-50 annually with a 2.2% inflation rate, which we all know varies, the sad fact is, everything staying the same, the library will close in 2061. So, what that says is, this chart does not take into account any volatility of the stock market. This is based on part-time open hours, no substantial budgetary changes other than the standard 2.2 inflation costs of everything. Staffing, oil, electricity. This does not take into any account for any large capital expense. So if something, that we all of a sudden need to have a new roof, which we won't because we just replaced it, we need to do a paint job, a new furnace, any of those miscellaneous issues, which the trustees have been very good about keeping up the maintenance. So we don't anticipate any need for that. But this calculation takes none of that into account. What this chart also shows us is that for the next 10 years, from 2024 to 2034, meeting us halfway, we're safe. But in 2034 to 2036, things start to shift. In 2037, the library endowment starts to deplete funds until 2061, which means that we now have to pull from not just the dividends. We have to start making up the operational needs with the belly of the money. We have to start going into the back pocket, which then lowers the balance, which means that any gains in the market will not get us as far ahead because we have less money to invest. Does that make sense?
I mean, the bottom line is, aside from the fact that the requirements of the endowment was to protect the principal for perpetuity, is that what the people who originally gave the money, they couldn't foresee 100 or 200 years ahead in terms of the cost of things and et cetera, et cetera. And we all, you as well with your budget, we all struggle with what's happening with inflation at times, what happens with unforeseen expenses and so forth. We know that the library is going to have to, and the trustees, whoever the trustees might be in the near future, maybe some of us and then maybe new people, but ultimately there has to be a grand plan for the library to exist long term. And whether that is some sort of collaboration with another library, the fact that we are not owned and operated by the select board, by the town itself, makes us different from most other libraries in the state. And so we have to look at what we can do long term to ensure the existence of a library for this town. We don't have those answers yet, and we'll be seeking outside expertise and options that we might have, but in the near future right now is the next 10 years, is how do we continue to maintain the library at its current level of services. We're not looking to increase our services off the backs of the taxpayers. We are looking just to receive the same amount of money and then figure out creative ways ourselves to make up the difference where expenses may increase. For instance, it was mentioned earlier that we received a grant from the Association from Rural and Small Libraries to fix our basement, to turn it into an adequate area to store stuff. It was a small grant, it was $15,000, but it enabled us to get the work done. And we're continuing to look at other opportunities for grants and so forth that will handle increasing expenses over time. But in the meantime, at least for the next 10 years, realistically, we're looking for support from the town. So we're here tonight to ask you for the same amount of money that we asked for last year. But you probably anticipate that we'll be here, for the next, up to 10 years at least, unless something changes that right now is unforeseen, that is in the favor of the library financially. if any of you win the lottery and you wanna, increase
Bestow
our
us.
endowment, we will gladly be a tax write-off for you. But that's the reality of the library, and I've been very impressed with the library since I've joined it. I wasn't a big library person when I was a kid, but I'm excited about it becoming a multi-functional, multi-purpose organization for the community, and branching out, finding creative ways to serve this community. And I think, in that regard, I think libraries are, one of the pillars of a community. And I think if the library can service this community in ways that the residents need besides the books themselves, I think that pillar will just become that much stronger. So that's why we're here tonight.
Can I ask a question? Can anybody, even if they're not a New Ipswich resident, like come in and borrow books or whatever, or
They have
partake
to have
in
a
the
library
service?
card. They have to have a library card, but in order to get a free library card, you have to either be Greenville or New Ipswich.
And how much does a card cost if you're not?
I don't know. I'm not the
Melanie
director.
would know that.
Yeah.
I wanna say 20.
Yeah, I was curious.
I think it's $15 or $20 for the year.
Does Greenville have a warrant article as well?
No.
No, because they're town funded.
Well,
They're
have
part
their
of
own
the.
library.
They
What?
do. Yep.
Oh.
And I'm gonna show you the next slide, which will demonstrate
Oh.
how unique we really are.
Correct.
So our last slide here it just speaks to how frugal we are, which I'm very proud of. But I have this sorted based on, I took all of the libraries in the state of New Hampshire. These numbers are from 2022. That is the most recent information that the state librarian has on file. I sorted it all first by resident numbers. I took sort of the middle numbers of population and tried to pull out the most local and or most comparable libraries in our region that people would actually be able to drive to.
So Gretchen, along the bottom where it says Temple 1404, that's their population.
Correct, and this graph starts at Temple with the least amount of population and goes all the way to Peterborough at the most population in the comparisons that I pulled. So you can see Mason at 1421. We are at the very high end of the population spread that I chose, and as you can see, we are even below what we pay or what we have as attributable expenses to our residents, even lower than Temple and Mason, which are a fourth of our population.
All those other ones are town-run libraries.
Yes. So they are on the budget rolls.
Right.
So if you look at, right now, if you look at Temple, Temple has an operating budget about half of 100,000. That's what the operational expense side is. So the orange portion of it is the portion that the town is contributing. The green is the total expense. So if there's a difference there in every other library option, then their friends of the library have been doing fundraising so that they can balance their books.
What is the Greenville population?
So the Greenville population is 2,089 people.
And what is their budget?
So Greenville's budget is about 150,000.
And ours is?
And that, when you do that math, based on 2,089 people, their expense to the taxpayers is $76 a person per year.
And our budget is?
Our budget is 95,000, and only half of that 95,000 is from the taxpayers. Our total budget, based on 5291 residents, we are spending $14 a person.
Or $7 from the taxpayers
Correct.
per person.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's excellent. It's like great work, and I think it's a good showing of how the relationships worked, and where some of these other libraries with the the soaring costs that they have, that tends to happen when you're just funded solely through taxpayer money.
Mm-hmm.
You start to lose sight of different aspects.
Mm-hmm.
So I'd be interested to know, and you guys don't have to do this, but what their other participation, like how many residents actually go in and utilize the library and
Absolutely.
all those different numbers, like
Mm-hmm.
how it all correlates together.
Mm-hmm.
I'd said this in years past that you can look at this as a something that holds you back or something that helps be able to excel and do whatever you'd like to do, because it also keeps a large degree of that town office comment into what you guys are doing
Mm-hmm.
at a minimum.
Yes.
You guys are allowed to operate, and operate how you see fit.
But we also want to reassure the oversight from the town that we are being responsible. We are being very conscientious. We are trying to access professionals in the field to give us the best advice, because we are trying to be strategic. We are trying to plan smart. We're not trying to be short-sighted. We know where we live, and we respect that, and we are working very hard to have you trust that we're doing a good job.
And if any of you don't have a current library card, we can figure out a way to get that into our budget.
We can print you up one. So yeah, so any other questions you have for any of us?
No, I can certainly appreciate not asking for any additional funds, and that you're able to run the library with a what is it? I can't think tonight.
That's great.
Level funded, I guess, next year.
Yes.
Which is amazing in this climate, because
Yes.
all we hear about is all the increases everywhere.
And I don't really want to share this, but when you take my, I just want to give you, because I want to just emphasize your point. This graph is the calculation, based on this graph, the 45,000 flat funding is projected to be stable for a few years.
Yeah, definitely. It shows
If
that you guys
everything-
have some time to
Yes, we
figure
have
out how
a,
to build up that endowment, or
correct.
like make up those other ends, other than
Yes,
We keep.
lose sight of this, and then in 10 years, oh boy,
Freak out.
we got a problem.
Right.
yes,
Yeah, so,
exactly.
So again, excellent work.
Thank you.
Yeah.
What other
Yeah.
questions?
Lou, did you have any questions?
No.
Jason?
Okay.
Thank you for
Did we
coming
bring
in.
the letter tonight? No.
No,
We
I,
have to submit our letter still.
alrighty.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
guys. Didn't realize I had all my hay all over my.
No, not quite yet.
Don't you wish?
What's that, lady's name of the people in her walking up? I can't
Oh,
remember.
Shelley? Zinmeister? She's Bob's wife.
Okay, and who's the other one with the plaid?
That is Sue Bulger-Hadley,
Yep,
Yeah.
okay.
and her son Nate works at the library.
I couldn't remember either of their names for some reason.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah. Thanks, everybody.
Oh,
Thank you so much, that was great.
It's good to see you. Join us at the library on Saturday.
And then there was one. Sorry, I really wanna do that.
Parks and Rec.
Parks and Rec. I have a phone was drooling. That was exciting. I don't have that, sorry.
What's that?
It's fancy stuff.
It's okay.
It's just me and Joe.
It's an empty budget.
What's that?
I was like, oh, that's empty.
Yeah.
I can't, do you mind if I sit over it? I can't see the board.
Yeah.
And Lord knows
We
which.
need multiple jumbotrons.
I
I know, right? Put that in the budget, planning board budget.
know. Stranger.
Long time no see.
I know.
So Mindy, did you wanna talk about, the expenses? Do you wanna talk about the salaries first?
Honestly, I don't think there's much about the expenses that we need to really talk about, except we changed the supplies to actually having a supplies line without a dollar in there. We are using supplies more than we're using the repairs and maintenance right now because of the types of things that have come up this year. So that's why there's a change for next year. And the supplies are literally supplies that we just don't have, like folders. So stuff like that should not be coming out of a revolving fund, in my opinion. It's just part of a department, should have them. And then the other thing I think that we changed was electricity is, I'd like to put it on record, it's not my fault. We absorbed baseball's electricity bill, so it threw that out of whack this year, so we have to adapt to that.
Yep.
And then the other thing, the lease house, we do have it set for the 2680, which is literally the 3 for the 8 months. But after realizing this year, we really do need possibly 1 for the month of December. And we might wanna put it back up a little bit to the 3,000 for that.
Okay.
Which I think is the only thing that I hadn't had a minute to talk to you about. Only because sometimes December's warm and there's a ton of kids at the park, and guess where they're gonna start going? Not in the porta potties that aren't there, so I'd like to encourage that behavior if I could. And then the only other thing I wanted to talk about was what we were gonna do with the new stipends and things like that, a little bit
So
more.
before we get into stipends, you had made that comment about electricity and absorbing baseball's electricity, which is offset because they reimburse that.
3 months only. That's it. That's all they agreed to. That's all they've done.
But it's still using the lights beyond that, or?
There's a running light. It's about $25-ish a month, depending on the month, that they get a bill every month for that pole. They have it's totally separate account. So we and I have almost the full year now. They've only been up since April, but now that we're looking at it, our projections can be more accurate. But I mean, it's still a couple $100 added on, plus softball lights went up, so that was already there though, that was existing. So the only time it's gonna increase is when they get used for the months that we use them, or, for occasions that we put them on.
But even like those months that they're being used, would that not be offset by the revolving account? Cause it's the kids using it, for the program that the parents paid the fees for.
I mean, if we start doing that, it's gonna get, from an accounting perspective, that's messy as messy can get. You're talking about paying things, and how do we break that down? How do we subtract that off to offset the costs of it? And on top of that, if you wanna look at it that way, when people are using the pool jumps up to almost $1,000 a month, $800 a month. Are we gonna start charging that off of paying out of the swim team and the swim lessons, a percentage at each one, and things like that? Like, how can we do that to just one portion of one department and not every department? And with that said, then baseball should be paying for that entirely, because we don't use those lights at all. And I have haven't needed to turn those lights on except for when we were setting up the bounce houses on Autumn Fest. And other than that, but we're picking up the bill for the rest of the year for them to have lights.
So it's not necessarily the use, like using the lights, there's
Yeah.
just a basic bill every single month for the
just
pole
to have
itself.
the meter
Right.
there.
Yeah.
I mean, it's, I guess my point is to pick it apart that for that little amount of money is, and honestly to add that to the accounting side of things, it's kind of a nightmare, because then it's like where and when do we cut that off, and how do I break that down when I'm sitting in the office trying to pay that bill? Like, mathematically speaking, percentage, do we subtract it off, you know, for X amount of months? You know what I mean? It just, that I don't foresee the softball lights becoming a huge amount of money that we'd have to tack that into revolving. I mean, we do our own background checks out of revolving, you know what I mean? We do everything else is out of revolving, you know what I mean? We don't tap into resources for the programs very often when it comes to that electricity for one program, realistically, because we didn't use it this year for soccer because they were afraid to upset the neighbors in the fall.
So that's the total electric bill, or bills is $405 or so. Is
I
that,
mean, I would, whatever Joe
Yeah,
told,
that's what we figured out is
okay,
we're budgeting $405. Last year we budgeted 242, so an
For the
increase
whole
of like
year?
yeah.
increase of $180.
alright, I guess, yeah, it's not that much.
Yeah.
Really difference on that.
No.
I mean, the only thing that could change is what happens with the wattage and stuff like that, like.
And then you had
And the
mentioned
source
something
charges.
about outhouses,
Yeah, having that extra month for December for the playground and possible
so that's what you're
basketball.
talking about, just keeping it at 3,000
3,000.
instead of moving it down to 2,680,
Yeah,
okay.
yeah.
You want a handicap one?
I think that's probably smart, just to keep,
Have at least one handicap
well,
one.
that's the problem is, that's the more expensive one, I don't know if we can afford to have it there for the month.
It's $150, so we're at $26.80. If we go 150, we're at $28.30.
Plus, we have to still do the one cleaning and then the
Oh, yeah.
fuel, so that brings it up to 175, 165.
Yeah, so that would be a 9 months. Supplies would be 25. Fuel would be
10 still,
yeah, 9, right?
Yep.
One more month.
right?
So that gets us $28.55.
Yeah, so
Okay.
that's still, I think, pretty good. And
Yeah.
that's with a handicap.
Yeah.
Okay. And we probably keep it where it is now.
Bless you.
That's it. Alright,
Okay. So I'm gonna go back to this thing. Actually, we're gonna talk about personnel stuff. Alright, let's hide some of this stuff. Okay,
Okay.
you see that all right?
So, do you want me to explain what I did here? So last year, when I came in, I brought in the fundraiser coordinator and sports manager positions into the budget to relieve some stress from the revolving fund. That, I was very clear this year, I was gonna put them back in. And I also did that knowing that this year I was gonna ask for more hours allocated to my position because I definitely work a little more than what is allocated for. And I've also feel like what I originally asked for hourly rate, I feel like I can now justify asking for that original ask last year, because I am doing exactly what I said I was gonna do. So even with that increase, it still keeps it super tight to what we are already working on, like our working budget now. It's not going up much. The only other change is the summer coordinator position. It goes up $500 because we took that, we were talking about changing that, we're taking that off of the sports manager and giving them the summer off and just giving the summer coordinator the summer things, which would be the sports camps and the summer camps. We don't, and with that said, I do want that to, so the summer camps for sports that get run, those are used as fundraisers for the mostly the high school coaches for their programs. They fundraise, they do these programs, they take the money and they put it into their programs, and we don't really profit off of it. We do about a 25% cut, and I think we walked away with about $130 this year, maybe a little bit less. Off the top of my head, I do have the numbers at home, I didn't bring it with me. And the summer camp, as we spoke about before, I wanted to keep that position in our general budget, because until it's up and running and profitable, that, and I say profitable, I don't mean like we're making millions off of this, it's just not the case. We probably could have been in a better financial position if I hadn't brought in a small animal farm for the kids to have, but it was a highlight of the week, and that I think was nice. So I would like to keep that person's position in their general fund until we get that a little bit more stabilized and maybe running on its own more financially. The event coordinator also, those aren't always money making things. That's where we tend to spend money. So it's not really a position where I can throw into revolving and she can earn her money back for her work. That's something that has always been in general budget. I think it should stay there. And then depending on how that position grows, address it maybe down the road. But I think for now, I think that these numbers are pretty realistic, and it only went up the whole, but do you remember the total from last year to this year would have been was
8,600, I think.
the budget taking out the two fundraise, the $5,500.
Oh, right.
That's why I was gonna look for some clarification, because it seemed like there might have been some redundancy, like in, because we have, my first line that I have on, went down from 5,500 to 4,000, but then the note is event coordinator and summer coordinator, and then there's another line for 500 underneath that says event coordinator and summer coordinator, and then there's a 111 line for the director stipend, 8,100. This says 4 coordinator positions, summer and event coordinator, P1 sports, and other P3.
So the only coordinators, it's 4,500 combined for the only 2 positions for coordinators left in the general budget. And then the increase for mine,
So let's just go back for a second.
Yeah.
So the director, the current is 11,400. You're proposing 8,100 more, so that's 19,500.
Yep.
Okay.
Right.
The events coordinator, that stayed flat at 2,000.
Right.
The fundraising coordinator, did that?
That went to 2,500 because that was something that just happened literally, I think, last week or the week before, when It just happened, and I haven't talked to you at all about that.
So even those two top lines should be combined?
Yeah.
Under one?
Yeah.
Then, okay.
Okay,
And he keeps them separate when we do this, so you can see the difference of like what the increase was, which is what we talk, like that's what would be the increase from last year to this year, which is why he has two lines.
Well, it's not, like it's
Well,
like if you
it's
would've
a
put it
two.
into one line, then you see that last year was 11.4 and then this year's 19.5.
Yeah, no,
It
that's
kinda,
what,
and then with the notes that I have, it gets confusing.
So
right, so,
which edition of the proposed budget do you have?
It's the same one that we were working off last week, cause I didn't get an updated one, I don't think.
this is
right?
the same one
Yeah,
for Parks and Rec, yeah.
yeah.
So the way we did it is we do the director stipend, priority 1 at 11.4, which is last year's rate, and then we do priority 2 is the wage adjustment, 8,100. So and what that really does, it flags it and say, let's make sure we talk about this, and then the total is 19.5 for the two. So the new, if you approve the priority 2 for the additional, it'll be 19.5.
Alright, so just check the notes then, and maybe like update the notes on that side.
Yeah, let me do that. Oh yeah, look at that, I didn't update those. Yep, okay, ignore those please.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's go back, let's just talk through those then. Alright, so you're clear on the request for the director stipend, right?
Yes.
Okay, so then the events coordinator, priority 1 is 2,000, there's gonna be an additional $500 as priority 2.
no, the summer coordinator, right there at the bottom, see the 1 and 2?
Oh, okay, I've got
Yeah,
that.
yeah. Oh, you do have it.
I
Yeah.
do have that,
Sorry, I
okay.
didn't notice that. And then the other 2 are being removed, the 3s, those are not, I don't want them to stay there, they do need to go back into revolving.
So I can just delete this?
Yep. Look at that, taking money away, just like that. 5,000 gone.
Okay, then good, so we're up to date. So then if we go to Parks and Rec, sorry, I gotta refresh this.
It's that easy.
It really
Oh,
is.
let's level fund the whole thing.
Oh, okay, must have said takeaway support. All right, so we went up 8,100 for the director stipend. We went down by 5,000, so the net is an increase of $3,100 for the
For the year,
stipends.
right.
And the total net increase is at 2,800.
Mm-hmm. We were being very responsible, I feel like.
So then, what's your new like hours and
15 hours
a week?
a week at 25 like I wanted. And I think that if you look back over the past year, definitely proven myself to be worth every penny, because if we did it by what I actually worked hours, it was a little too much. I think that this is something that I was trying to think about it from a perspective of like, if it wasn't me, right? What would I want for the next person to come in? I want them to take it seriously. I don't want it to be half done. I don't want things getting left undone and unfinished. So let's make it a priority job. Make it a job that someone would want to come to. With those hours and with that rate, as the selectmen, you can adjust their rate and even increase their hours if you wanted to, or if they needed it. You know what I mean? With myself, I am stipend, and so this gives me the opportunity to work as freely as I want. I prefer to work more than I am allocated to, agree to. But it's something that it's my choice. I will complain sometimes, but not all the time. But it is something that I have a lot of a lot of thinking about, and I think that what I settled in on, I think is fair. And again, someone coming in, this could be adjusted accordingly, hours and wages. Not that I'm planning on going anywhere, but
So what are you doing the stipend work versus your regular job in the accounting?
I keep them 100% separate. So like if I have anything that's going on rec and I happen to be in the office, I sign out. Sometimes my cards look a little messy. Sometimes if I haven't taken a break that day, I'll use a couple minutes on the phone if someone calls, so I just won't take a break.
Okay, but so you do divide the time out between the two?
Yep, I break them up.
positions, okay.
Yep.
So basically for your paid work here, you're saying that you're working 15 hours a week?
For rec,
No.
oh, for the accounting,
Yeah.
it varies between, I think, like 18 and, I average like 18 and 23 hours a week. It just depends. Sometimes it's a little over, sometimes it's under, it just depends on everything.
So let's say an average of 20 hours a week?
Yeah. Now, don't look at my time card for the next couple weeks, cause it's not gonna look like that. It'll be a little bit more.
Let me
There's a
see.
mess. Yeah. So I have a name for this week here, but that week starts the week before and rolls into this week. It's a lot. But the new system's very adjustable, so it can accommodate me working and spreading the work out like that. So I spent a couple hours on Thursday or something, and then Saturday I was able to do a bunch and then finished it up Monday and Tuesday.
So you're working a part-time job plus another part-time job?
Plus I do have another part-time job, but yeah. Yeah,
Okay.
I enjoy it.
So as admirable as it is, what would it take to get it level?
What do you mean, to get that level? Well, we talked about that as well, and the only other option, say if we had to go into default budget, I'm not like okay with it, but I could do is drop the summer coordinator position into revolving and possibly do fundraising
But all of
to
your
offset the cost.
supplies,
Supplies
all
and
these
stuff,
things, I
yeah,
guess.
that stuff is, there's nothing really to get rid of, that's the problem, and, you know, it's a minimal budget already, and so when we went through it, we were pretty thorough.
Dee?
Yeah, so I think one of the things to think about is, do we have a philosophy as a town or any benchmarking about what a perfect budget looks like? And when I say that is, I know we're doing cost-based budgeting, and I think that's admirable, but I also think that when we look at the last master plan, we did lose sight of some of the recreational and community-based goals of the town. And if we look at where the costs have gone up, they have tended to go up in our emergency services, some of our equipment. And so I just, if you sat and just had a conversation, maybe next week if it's lighter, about what would the percentage be of fire police, emergency services, buildings, and just keeping the town afloat, and what would our rec, library, those types of services be? And I give you this, and I'll give you a totally unrelated, but it's kind of the same principle is, I heard this story about a woman who said she worked for a hospital system, and the hospital system had a mission of prevention, and yet less than 1% of their budget was going to prevention. So the woman went to the president and said, I want 1%. I want 1%, and she was able to fund like 30 different programs with 1% of their budget. And you know, where do we put ourselves as a community? So I I don't know where we're going when I hear library and I hear rec, but I also wanna make sure that sometimes the things we have to do start, I'm not sure that we always get to make the choices about where we wanna make sure we have some of the fun stuff that goes into
Yeah.
life, you know?
So it's interesting that you say how you, because I think you and I think a lot alike. We're thinking about what's coming next for the town for the recreational, and I actually had said something to Debbie, I think, and maybe even Joe. I mentioned something about renting space for recreational activities for daytime, and then a before and after school program, and it was kind of just like a conversation like down the road.
I'd like to do it.
I'd like to do
Yeah.
it, yeah. And then I heard from from Liz Pogozowski, and she had done a survey at the elementary level about before and after school programs, and then reached out to me to see if I'd be interested. And then we'd have usage of a building because there was a school that she would let us use. We'd probably have to pay some custodial fees, but other than that, we could chart, you know, and she has all, I actually have to go pick the paperwork up, I keep forgetting, and she has all the surveys of like how much per day people would pay, the hours, things like that. And this blew my mind. And then listening to library, I actually asked Mitch, hey, can we have a conversation later, like when things are a little bit calmer? I really want to talk about some of the older community. And I mentioned that, you know, there's so many things, I want to do these things, and I have it in my head, and we don't have space. I don't have an office, like on a desk. That stuff's at home, or I end up using accounting when I sign out, and that's obviously not always appropriate. But to have meetings or gatherings or I don't know.
And the one thing
book
the
clubs
schools
even.
are starting to have is a little bit more space.
Exactly.
So how do we optimize our overall town resources? Anyways, I just
Yeah.
didn't know if you guys had ever had that conversation about conceptually what would a balanced community look like.
Well, I think
Yeah.
the concept is to have things that not everybody uses, not be funded by everyone in the
Right.
community, like subsidized essentially. So it's kind of staying away from that aspect. Like some of the towns that I saw on that list are heavy in municipal subsidizing things, so it's free, but it's not really free. It's just everybody has to pay for it. A few people use it.
First.
Not ideal by any stretch, you know. In my thoughts, you know, it's great to hear that the school, you know, has done those surveys, but there's also private companies that come in and do those types of programs if it's
Yeah.
worth it
And she
money wise,
said that too.
and that's why it's great
Yeah.
sometimes to have that private enterprise aspect, because it keeps the books in check.
So
Because too often, like at this level, like with municipalities, you lose sight of that checkbook aspect, and that things do cost money, and it's just another 5,000 or just another 200,000, but then you keep having those over and over and over again, then all of a sudden,
right, so the reason Liz had reached out, because she had mentioned, you know, there are companies, there's a Horizon, I think was one of them, and there's another organization that come in and they do this. And then, but what she said to me was, this is an opportunity for us to find funds to help fund things. So that's why I had mentioned, like, there's an opportunity here, and this could help us find that location, you know, secondary location, that, and it helps fund that, or, you know, other projects that benefit the kids, because the money's coming from a kids program, so to speak. I kind of like the idea of keeping that, you know, within the realm. It's the same thing with when we fix up something at the field, and, you know, we are a revolving fund department, as I like to remind people. You know, we don't spend every penny that we get from soccer on a ball. It does go into, you know, upkeep, or, you know, maintenance, or, you know, paint for the playground, you know, things like that do come up. I'd rather it come out of revolving, where we have the money that was accrued, rather than tack it on to our taxes. That's important to me when it comes to the department, which is why I was very specific about everything that I had talked and asked about for this department.
yeah, because when you talk about the library, it's much the same model in my mind. The people that utilize it, it's great that it could be free for residents or
Yeah.
whatnot. Would it be terrible to have to pay like $20, would any less people go there if they had to pay $20 for their library card? I don't know, you know, like I'm not sure, but that could be, it's different funding mechanisms for items, so even that after school program or before school program.
Yeah.
There's enough of the community that pays for these Goliaths in town that don't utilize it, have never utilized it, you know, like they didn't actually have kids in the system,
Yeah.
still currently pay,
Right.
you know, their portion
Yeah.
of it. And I'd hate to see like another portion,
Yeah.
you know, get backdoored essentially,
Yeah.
you know, through this
But
office.
The kids that would be, you know, going to these after-school programs or before school,
Yeah.
would they be charged a fee, the
Yep.
parents?
Absolutely.
And that would fund,
That's
so
the
it's
program.
zero.
$0 would come out of it. Zero. It
So
actually,
it is being paid by the people who are using it.
exactly. It is 100% being. I wouldn't do
Maybe,
it.
we don't know, it's all just
Well,
conversations
right.
and we
Right,
had
well,
alluded
yeah.
to earlier was
In
grant
theory,
money.
that's what it is. I
Yeah.
was just
You
gonna
gotta
say
find money
grants
to
too.
pay for other things.
No,
It-
for
it-
sure.
it's a slippery slope.
You get the grant and then
Then you
that
don't get
covers
that,
X amount of time. And now,
And then it
It's just a
expires
part
and
of the
people
budget.
become reliable on, like,
Yeah.
as a like they rely on it. And it's, oh, well, we have to fund this.
Yeah, so we have a plan to get together after Thanksgiving, and I'm actually pulling in the summer coordinator to help with some help with, and actually the Highbridge principal and Ebenezer Farm reached out as well. They want to have this conversation with us as well. This is a town thing. We have a huge problem with no care. Like there's there's long wait lists for the small places that we do have. Ages are a thing. So that's why this has even come up. And I noticed it even when I had kids. There's less than when I had my, my oldest. So as always, I would not be turning to the town or leaning on other things to fund a program. That would be something that if it's a need, it has to be able to pay for the people watching the kids.
Self-funded, yeah.
Fully self-funded. And we were even going to try to maybe do a test run during voting because there's 2 days off and see how it goes with that. It's a conversation, a really good conversation, and I think a needed, and she could very well turn and hire out, and if that's what works best for the community, I'm fine with it too, but I like the idea of at least trying to see if it's something that we could work with and provide, and then
this is all daycare.
pretty much.
I was talking to a zoning board member today and he said, there's a new law that says you don't need any variance to open a daycare.
Mhm.
Any house
That's
can
true.
open
Yeah.
a daycare.
Mhm.
Yep.
And
Wow.
there's really no restrictions on how many kids they can take
In New Hampshire, it's
Yes,
crazy
there
how
is.
lax there's
Even with the new one.
one person per 12 children.
Yeah.
Yeah, the reason I know
Yeah,
that
okay, yeah.
is because we had somebody come to the ZBA.
Yeah, and you need a certain amount of square footage that the kids utilize also
Yeah.
to offset like how many kids you can have in your house.
But I would think a lot of people don't know that.
Yeah,
They would think it would be a massive undertaking to
Yeah.
turn.
if it was Massachusetts, yes.
Yeah.
My mom had a daycare for 25
And I'm sure
years.
there's
It was
plenty of
crazy.
houses that could take 5 kids.
Yeah,
you know,
if
so
they
just
wanted
as-
to. Yeah.
Just as a PR out there, if
Yeah.
somebody needs a little and has a good heart.
Yeah.
Mm.
My husband, for years when we were raising our kids, always said, "Why don't you have a daycare?" And I'm like, "Because I lived in one my entire life. That's why I just didn't want my kids having to do the same
Here
thing."
you are,
Here I am.
talking
yeah.
daycares.
The kids are all old enough and we're talking daycare again.
At least
yeah.
it's not in our own house.
Exactly.
She doesn't have to live it.
No, exactly. Yeah.
But anyways.
So yeah, just again, it's something that as we keep talking about the things that are needed in the community, and this is a need. So something I just want to follow up with fully.
Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, back to Joe.
Do we wanna talk about pools? Pool,
Sure.
This was hard.
Hard.
It was hard. I had to go back and look at the kids, what they made, how they were scheduled.
We'll talk salary first.
No, we can actually go about the other things first if you want.
Okay, let's
That's
do
up to you.
expenses first.
Okay. Sorry. So the training and education, we do reimbursements for when the kids do, when they get certified, or if they recertify, we pay 50% back to them. So that's in there, and then I know that the numbers were higher than I saw, that you originally got from Shauna, so we dropped the number a little bit there, but we also put in the recommended is the CPO, if we needed to get a person CPO certified, if I remember correctly.
Yeah, so it's up there now. Let me expand that.
Yeah, the 495. Yeah. So the new certifications, that's anticipated. I don't know if we're gonna have new ones coming in this year. We do have a large group of kids. I say kids. Some of them are adults too, but lifeguards. And a lot of them are already certified. Some of them are going in for recert. Some are getting their second half paid back, so that's what that is. And then the management certificate, that was a class, I think, if I remember correctly.
Yeah, there were two classes that were probably appropriate, lifeguard management certificate for one person, and then that certified pool operator.
CPO.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I think it's smart to keep that in there, and I do think it should be utilized. So I think this one I don't think I would take one thing out, I'll be honest.
So how is the pool usage? It seems like it was down, no?
I don't know, I don't think so.
No.
I think it was at if I remember correctly, it was one of the higher years we've had.
This year was?
Yeah.
Maybe I'm thinking last year with all the rain.
Probably, that's
That
exactly,
might be
yeah.
what I'm thinking.
Yeah, it was pretty low last year, which is, from what I understand, why she had a hard time doing the budget last year, and that's why this year's budget looks like it's actually a lot more money than we're asking for. It's just that the adjustments that should have been made last year weren't accommodated, and that's where the problem is, and you can see it on the budget because we went over by I think $2,500 on lifeguard salaries. So, and that's I think is almost aside from adding in the on the new budget, if we added in we're going backwards again, aren't we?
Yeah, so what we're so realistically we're down from last year's budget by a couple of grand. So from an expense perspective, not talking salaries yet.
Right.
So we'll have to talk about that, but
Right.
overall, we add, up a little bit on the computer, the laptop dedicated to pool, down on supplies, down on electricity, down on, standard maintenance, up on pool open and closing costs. Now that was a nightmare.
Still is, because that's actually might be a huge problem actually. I was at the pool because I've actually been getting quotes to fix the coping tiles and the skimmers. I got my first quote in today. I was expecting it to be high, but what I didn't expect is the pool has to be fully drained and then refilled. So we don't have enough money to do it in we don't even have enough money to do half of it in cap reserve of what we're about to need to do. There is a safety factor, and that's not even resurfacing. We didn't even get that quote. Yeah. So I'm not really sure how this got so bad, and like why all of a sudden everything, so the coping and tile has to be done at the same time. There's no way to patch it, nothing like that, it has to be fully done. This has been told to me by multiple people in the industry. When you patch it, you end up with problems that we have right now, which is the coping is falling off. It's a huge safety issue, and
So what's the tile like around that
the
top
going
edge?
up,
Like
yeah.
on, yeah.
Yeah, it's all attached basically. It all holds everything together. Because I thought, oh, we could just do the cope. We don't need to do the tile. We're just missing a couple. We'll just patch them in there. And he's like, that's not how that works. And then I got the same confirmation. The gentleman that I'm meeting tomorrow, it's the same thing. It's you have to take. It's all one thing because of the way that they put it in. And then I found out. I was actually asked him while we were sitting here, because I didn't think of it until I was sitting here, do we have to drain the pool to do this? And it was a yes. So
All the way down.
all the way down.
Oh, good, we could fill up the
Which
fire
would
truck.
only make sense to resurface the pool at the same time.
Right, but
if you
that's
had the
another
money.
40 to 50,000 we're already looking at. Without the water, $76,000 is my first quote.
For tile and coping.
Tile, coping, and 7 skimmers, 76,000.
That was one quote.
That's my first quote, and then the gentleman will be up tomorrow for another quote from a different company.
How much would it cost to make a swimming hole at Banky?
Don't think I haven't thought about
Just
it.
a couple hours with an excavator.
Get some excavators down there and pull some of that grass back.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
what Jaffrey does, right? They got a couple beaches.
Yeah.
Do they have a pool in Jaffrey?
No. I don't know. I don't think
I
so.
can't think of one.
No,
but
I just know the 2 beaches, and then I know Ringe.
Same with Ringe, they don't have a pool, do they?
No, but they have a significant more amount of water areas than we do in New Ipswich that are swim worthy.
We could eminent domain some land from the PPA.
Take it away.
Good luck.
Take it away.
If we lose this lawsuit, we may not have the pond.
So it is something that I know I'm not pool director, but it is something that has been we knew these issues were coming up. We knew that they've been long standing. But when I pulled the pool back, the water, it was at the skimmers, and I was like, oh, the skimmers are where the leaks are. It's about almost 2 feet below the skimmers right now. So we're looking at least another 2 loads that just to fill the pool back to a normal level, and that's not even for repairing where the leak is, because I have no idea except maybe the bottom filter. So I'm smacking my head against the wall.
Has the pool ever been resurfaced?
I don't think since it's been put in, no, but it's fiberglass now, because there's nothing in between anymore. Hence why the toes are getting ripped up. When you go in, you can't go in without cutting your toe. It's inevitable. Water shoes I highly recommend. So it does. It is a priority, but the safety priority of a coping falling off while you're standing on the edge of a pool at 12 feet, hitting your head, is kind of a big issue. And while you're doing the coping and tile, it makes sense to get the skimmers done, which I think that was 21,000 because it's 3,000 a skimmer. We have 7.
Are there any grants available to?
I mean,
the pool was put into the grant.
I was gonna
wasn't
say
it?
I haven't even looked. I'll be honest with you. I've been just trying to get the quotes together because I don't know if this is falling under rec or not. We haven't had that conversation. How much time and money are we putting into Mindy looking into grants or putting a grant together? It's a lot of work.
Mm-hmm.
I obviously, like we had talked about, I do think that it should be put under rec again. That's how I did the budget, as like 2 departments not merging, but working as one.
Do you know when that was last that way? Like, when did it stop being one? Or has it always been 2?
Last year.
Just last year?
Yeah. But before, so 8 years
It's
ago.
always been 2 technically
always
separate
Always on the
budget
books,
items.
budgeting, but
Right.
I'm saying
But as far as the
directors,
director, it was always the same
there's
So
one person
director,
doing
both
both.
things.
Well,
Yeah, okay.
till last year.
8 years, 9 years, 10 years ago, it was separate. Eric Maxwell had rec, and Liz Pokozelsky, Liz Rand at the time, was director of the pool. So 10 years ago, it was separate. We put them together, I think 9 years ago. I did it for a year, almost 2 years, and then you guys stepped,
Mhm.
and then it was kind of still the same idea. But it's always kind of, I think it would flow better having it work together, or like we had said, at the very least, if it doesn't and they are run separately, we have to separate the revolving funds, have to, it's like,
Mhm.
cannot,
Yeah, that should
never
have
happen
been
again.
combined.
Yeah.
Because just hearing you talk, it sounds like we're upwards of $150,000-$200,000 of work needs to be done on that thing.
Yeah.
Well, I mean that's crazy. Can you buy a new pool for $100,000?
It's not, honestly, it's not even a bad question to ask, because it's the fact is that you need coping on a pool, you need the tile on the pool, you need skimmers in a pool, and then the biggest issue is, where's the leak? That's the problem. If we came in and had all that stuff redone for, say 100, 120, I have no idea, would it save us $50,000, and then we don't have to try to find a leak, the mysterious leak? Because if it's
And-
not in the bottom of the filter, in the bottom of the ground, it's in the pool somewhere.
Right. And if you got one of those like preformed fiberglass things that they just drop in, you'd have like no maintenance, wouldn't you?
Well,
Really?
those
I mean,
they crack pretty easy.
um,
Well, and if you think about it too, I mean, there's so many aspects to that too, because then you have to fix the deck, you have to reshape it. If we were to have it custom made, that's a whole nother extra cost. That pool is huge. It's a very big pool. We have a 12-foot end, it's a big pool. So there's a lot of things that come up with, but prioritizing, adding water for a few more, another season to hold off to, it's like, I just don't know what the right thing to do is right this minute.
yeah, more
Because-
Band-Aids.
Well, and that's the problem. It's like you can't the pool is such a hot spot. Like there are hundreds of people down at that pool every day, revolving. Obviously not at one time, but at one time there's easily 50 people there sometimes. Between the pool, playground, and coming in and out, it gets crazy, overwhelmingly crazy, and it's not something that I think would be a good idea to close, for sure. But like prioritizing what gets fixed first, and yeah, is it not maybe is it mundane to fill the pool this year, fix a coping tile, hold off on the skimmers, that saves us $20,000, then we almost have enough money to do that. Next year, drain the pool, redo the, resurface it, fill the pool back up. That where
What's it
keep
about?
it in action.
It's about
Yes.
$1,000 to fill it, right?
How much?
More?
no, it's
JK.
no, yeah, you're looking at probably maybe $8,000-$9,000
Just to fill the water back
fill
up.
the whole pool though.
Can the fire department help?
We have, well, they don't really have anywhere to get water to put out fires, so it's hard to find.
No, they have
Water.
water where they do.
I don't know. I never thought about it. We have water trucked in, so
So it's like
So-
what did he say?
It's
it
already
was?
treated water instead
Yeah.
of grabbing the lake water and then trying to make
It's-
it into
And
pool
they
water.
won't fill like a personal
you're gonna go
pool
through
or
a lot of
anything like that.
filters
Like they wouldn't even do
just
it
to
if you
clean
paid
that.
them because there's all kinds of bacteria and whatever else.
well,
and
not even bacteria,
Who would
iron.
do what?
the iron
iron
and
and-
fire department.
Yeah,
Oh,
the water that we have in New Hampshire is very
yeah.
minerally, so
Yeah.
it's hard to. That takes, and then you're talking chemicals that
Yeah, so
offset
now you
other
gotta
chemicals, and then
Spend more money in chemicals than
Yeah.
if you just got the
Possibly.
The
I mean,
pool
that was a
water.
big number you said. What was it again?
For what?
8,000?
but that's rough. I mean, that's off the top of my head, but yeah, probably about 8,000-9,000 to fill it, like fully
That's a
fill
lot of
it.
chemicals, Debbie.
Yeah. Well, if you start off with basic, like spraying clean water, and to get it, the pH accurate, it would probably take half a pallet easily.
Kind of filters you got now, sand filters?
That is not a sand filter anymore. What it's up?
Diatomaceous earth?
No. Hold on. Sorry.
I'm just wondering, what would your filter cost be to process unprocessed water?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that too.
Well,
I mean, it's a brand new filter.
it runs. There's a CO2 connected to it. It's a Howard HCF series high rate sand filter. So you're right. It is a
Okay.
sand filter still.
Just
Yeah.
start hearing these big numbers.
Mm.
Well, then even, just screams fundraiser, cause if there's 50 to 100 people down there, most days, then including swim team, seems like at least some of the cost should be able to be offset by, again, people that directly utilize the pool instead
Yeah.
of, the entire community, shouldering that
Yeah.
that bill, cause there's a
Oh
there's
yeah.
a good percentage of the town that wouldn't mind if the pool was shut down.
I know. Trust
Yeah.
me. This is something that I thought about when I got the thing. I'm like, this. I wouldn't warrant article this. I wouldn't ask for money from the town.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think it would pass. To be honest, because they're the people who come down and vote don't use the pool all. Like if they do, it's very seldom. Their grandkids and kids might use it, but they might not see it as much of a need as we do. I mean,
Well, I think that could be, a worthwhile endeavor, through this next pool season to see what the interest is, and if you only raise, say $5,000 through a whole pool season, maybe the interest isn't there to keep it.
maybe.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like it's just that bigger discussion. So
Yeah.
I don't know.
I mean, you're not wrong at
Mhm.
all. Like I don't disagree with that statement. But the people that use it are majority New Ipswich, and we do have to track that because federally we can't charge residents to use the pool. So we do charge people who are out of town. It's not a huge fee. I think it's like $50 for a season or something like that. It's pretty much equivalent to.
Greenville has a pool too, right?
Well, do you charge for swim lessons?
Yes, that's completely separate and is not used general fund money. It's funded through revolving funds. Same thing with swim team. It's supposed to be a fully functioning, separate revolving fund program. The only thing that they don't pay for, I guess, if you really look at it, would be chemicals, because there are not enough bodies in the water to offset the pH to need to.
You don't need to increase.
Not
It's the same whether they're there.
Yeah, like the sun hitting the water at 12 to 2 burns off more chemicals than the kids are throwing the pH off during the mornings with not a lot of sun out.
So with the pool getting combined back to the Parks and Rec, does that take a motion, a public hearing, how to do it? Or is it just
All you do
in
is
conversation, we say, hey, take that over?
Yeah,
We
it's
need, we need to find out, narrow down what the costs are going to be.
yeah, 'cause it would be
No.
it would be an added
Added
stipend.
cost.
Well, the stipend's already in there, no?
Yes and
For a
no.
pool director?
So the conversation that we had before, there was a set price for the CPO certified
Mm-hmm.
employee, and that basically took the the director, that would be the same amount, and then the director would be a separate amount of money.
Mm-hmm.
I budgeted, I think it was $6,500, because it's not a seasonal position like everything else. It's a year-round position, as we are now seeing, and I think that's probably what may have caused some of the issues, is that people stopped working once the pool closes, and that can't be the case.
So there's two, well actually 3, but only 2 are funded. The director's salary stipend lines, one for 5,500 request and one for 7,500 request.
65, I thought it was 65.
Where are you seeing that?
Where you, I know, oh, we're looking at the screen, you're looking at something different.
Yeah, I'm looking at the
No.
budget.
Yeah, yeah,
I'm
That
wondering
was
where
given.
you're seeing that.
Okay.
I don't
Yeah.
see that. I see the request at 13,000. Full director salary. Are we on the same spreadsheet?
Well, I don't know if it's just displaying different, but I have it broken down.
Oh, you have a different, yeah.
Oh, I see, yep.
Whereas, so you're looking at that right there.
Oh,
Yeah.
I see what you're kind
Because then it gets down to the ones and then there's a 1 under one and a 2 under the other.
This is all that I have.
Right.
I
Yeah,
thought you were
so-
working off of this budget master sheet.
of, yeah, so the pool coordinator makes,
You have something different than I do. I don't know where you got that from.
It's up on the screen periodically. There's 3 different types of budget spreadsheets that seem to be toggled through over here, but I have the one that kind of combines them all
Yeah.
and has all of them broken out. You know,
yeah, so the so,
like I said, the one that we had gotten, I know that was the one that I
This
got
is
2
the
weeks
one
ago.
that I got.
I don't know
I
why.
think. Maybe I'm mistaken. Whatever. Besides the point.
So the one that you have should be the one that's up here right now. So the pool coordinator stipend today is $1,000. Mindy suggests that we double that to $2,000. The current director stipend is $4,500. Mindy suggests that we add $2,000 to that to make that $6,500. And then the CPO position is a new position, and that'll be a stipend at $4,500.
right,
and you have to have a CPO person in order to open the pool.
you have to, but it's a state law,
By
yeah.
law, yeah, that's what I was saying.
Right, you got it, girl.
Mm-hmm.
So that's an easy summary of the stipend positions. We also have a detailed summary of the lifeguard roles. And I flashed that up a couple of times to kind of refresh my memory.
Yeah, I messed with Joe a little bit on this, sorry.
Yeah, so on the left of the screen up here, there's the 2024 budget summary, lifeguards, rates, hours. And Mindy tried, in an attempt to make it easier, said, well, we have, a head guard, we have a top tier guard, we have 7 3-year guards. So that's, from a lifeguard perspective.
Sorry,
Just
so
wait.
look at. So when I press summary, this is what happens.
Well, you don't get anything?
Nothing. Yeah.
Oh.
All right.
We're having our little
Figuring it out.
techno glitch
Yeah.
discussion. Apologies.
No, it's, yeah, I know.
All right.
So from a lifeguard perspective, we're expecting to go up a couple of grand. And that's just because now there's a little bit better, there's more structure now, there's tiered rates. So, also, we didn't budget things like opening the pool, closing the pool, things that were just overlooked last time, so,
Yeah.
Mindy caught that now in her effort, so.
Yeah, and so that's the thing I wanted to just, it only brought it up $864. But it is actually a huge priority, and it was always asked of the guards. There was one day, 6 hours, 4 guards, 18 an hour. You bust out opening the pool. Half of them are doing the interior, half of them are doing the, at this point the pool would be already open, the filter would be up and running. And it would be basic cleanup from the winter, power washing things and getting ready, getting the chairs up and out. And then same thing with closing. And these things have been not budgeted and then not done, which I think is why we're not fully completing or fully opening each year, and that needs to stop. So I did want to put that in there for a budget as a priority, because when we were running and trying to have the pool running and functioning smoothly with so much going on, because it is chaotic. If you've ever been to the pool, which I know you have, but if you have been to the pool during the daytime, it's chaotic, so you need everything already done ahead of time. This will take some of that first week chaos away by having just $432 for the first week and $432 budgeted for the second week, not including FICA Medi, obviously, but and then I did, like he had said too, I broke the hours down based off of our priority with the guards, not including, I took the head guard, top tier guard off. They're completely separate. The third year guards, they get priority over some hours, so they would take the primary hours of 75, roughly 75% is what I projected, and then the first year and second year would get the 25, more of a 25%, I think would be, again, it's hourly, I'm guessing around 963 hours total, 240.75 hours for the first and second years, and about 722.25 for the, and that's subtracting head guard, CPO, and top tier guard. The top tier, it's not the right, there is a proper name for it, it's the only thing that I could think of that would help me at the time. But this makes more sense and is a lot cleaner to look at.
So again, this covers the lifeguards, and then there's the 3 positions, in addition, the director, the CPO, and a coordinator.
Yeah.
In addition to these lifeguards.
CPO stands for what, other than Chief Petty Officer?
Certified pool officer.
Yeah, certified pool operator.
Operator.
Okay.
I'll go back to the other spreadsheet.
And again, to put in perspective, the number for the director I came up with, I based it off of 5 hours a week at the same rate of 25 an hour as I did with the rec department. So that if they work to be under the same boat, it would be a proper position, and again, hours could be adjusted accordingly with hourly and like the hourly rate, as well as the hours that you put into programs.
And it's not necessarily, I'm gonna turn in for 5 hours every week and I'm gonna get paid $25 an hour. It's a stipend.
Yep.
You're getting X amount of dollars every
A year.
week. Or,
Yeah, so it's set apart. So if someone wants to, you know, if you get a stipend, especially with this department, with these departments, you can, I mean, not as much with the rec, but more with pool, you can just get paid, you know, twice a year, 4 times a year, however you want. With the way I broke it down was based off of a 20 hour work week. So that way both jobs would be taken seriously, and you are on call for both jobs throughout the year, whether you work 1 hour in the winter or 7 to 10 to 12 in the summer. It's more of just to make it a proper position was my goal with rec and pool. So. And that brought the budget, what was the total budget compared to 2024 for this year?
It's like a 20% increase, I think, roughly.
Went from 50 to 58.7.
Right.
So it's
But I would like to keep in mind though that there really wasn't a proper increase last year with the $2,500 different deficit. So there should have been a $2,500 to $2,700 difference in last year's budget than this year. So if you subtract that, it really isn't as
So then it becomes more like a 10.
right, which is more
10%
appropriate.
increase.
Yeah. And again, we're trying to make things run more efficiently, so sometimes it's gonna hurt a little bit by doing that.
oh, I guess I couldn't.
And I would like to end the year with money still in the accounts, you know?
So then we can give it back to the taxpayer.
Obviously, yeah, of course. I mean, no, seriously, that's what, I mean, if you don't use it, it goes back, it's how it works.
Yep.
Yeah.
But to be able to operate freely, I don't know if there's such a thing.
Yeah.
You should always be counting your paper clips, right, Gibby?
Mm-hmm.
I mean,
Now, on chemicals, it's probably looking at the wrong table.
yeah,
So
Dead
I don't know
flies.
why it won't load right. But it looked like the budget was 4,400 last year, and then this year it's 46 something or
Yeah,
We,
4576.
yeah, she didn't account for, like stabilizer, and I think there was a couple other little things that just weren't accounted for.
which I
in
can
the budget.
appreciate, but then there's that $2,200 request from the trustees of the trust funds for pool chemicals.
Yeah, cause they the
So
filter
what's-
broke.
Yeah.
Because it was installed, when they opened the filter, they didn't do it right, something got put in upside down and the filter got messed up. We had to
Who
have
did
someone come
that?
out and fix it. I don't really wanna say that.
No, was it a
When it was-
business?
A
Yeah.
pool company.
It was a pool company, and they opened it, when they put the
Why
parts
do
in,
we
it
have
was
to
put
pay
in
for
upside
it
down.
if they break
Hmm?
why do we have to pay for it if they break
They
something?
didn't break it, they just installed it incorrectly, and I didn't think, I mean, I don't, at the time, I don't run the pool now, I didn't run the pool then, so I didn't have that conversation, so, but we did,
So that cost $2,200 more in chemicals, or
they went through an entire pallet in a week. I was like, whoa, why are we ordering already? Like, why is there already a bill? And that's when she had mentioned that, so then I had called a company that I know and trust. And, well, we originally called the company that we used, and they were too busy to come out. There was water everywhere, going through chemicals like crazy. They couldn't, I don't even think they returned the call until the week after. And I called the company that I knew, they were up there that day, and they found the problem, and then it did take a few more days for them to get the stuff to fix it. So that's where the chemical problem happened, is by the time we found it, fixed it, or found someone to come fix it, they still needed to get the part that they needed to replace or thought they needed to replace, and then fix it, and that takes time.
And then if you're reloading water into the pool routinely, your chemicals are gonna have to be,
Mhm.
to get the new water.
Constantly adjusted, yeah.
We try, I mean, yeah,
Your
Yeah.
conditioner is your,
yeah,
I
exactly.
mean, it does last, but
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, and that was it was an error, but it was also a very unexpected error, and I do think I don't think it was anyone necessarily a fault of anyone's. I think it was, you get really busy and then you're all of a sudden but that's the whole point of doing things this way and breaking things down. There's more oversight. Things are taken off certain people's shoulders and put onto other people's shoulders, so the work for such a busy department, I know it's a short period of time, but it's incredibly busy and fast paced, and things can change very fast. And we did have the state even come in this year too, which can be very scary, but we passed. Everything was great.
Even with the coping issues?
Yep.
Hmm.
It's an issue. It's an
They
issue,
flagged it.
but they didn't shut the pool down. You know, we did better than some others, but we put a lot of, I did exactly what you asked to do, is to go through
Mhm.
every single thing and do what I thought
Appreciate
was
it
best.
though, yeah.
I do look at this, and I do think this will work, and I do have found some things that I think we can fix to make things work better too. Yeah.
Alright. Lou, do you have any other questions? Jason? No? So, did you have anything else for us?
Nope, I'm good.
Good?
Yeah.
Alright.
There was just that one thing with the job descriptions we had to check off. That was it for Parks and Rec. Other than that,
Yeah.
I wanna leave
So-
you guys alone.
At what point would we decide whether or not to combine them two? We just heard all the numbers. I mean, it's not really gonna change.
Mm.
Um,
Yeah.
Because right now, we technically don't have a pool director.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
I mean, I guess it's a good time to not have one.
Not really. I'm still going back down to the pool again. I've already gotten one quote. I spent 2 hours last time. DPW had to be there. We're going back down tomorrow. So things are still happening, because I'm not gonna let things fall to the side.
Mm-hmm.
So it's
So
not
that's the
always
question.
here.
Yeah.
Do you know the answer, or like when would be an ideal time for the board to say this is how it's gonna be going forward?
Well, anytime anybody wants to put that forward, like if you wanna have that discussion now, we can have it now, or
I mean, it seems like we have these stipends. Were they filled?
what do you mean?
Were they all used up
Yeah,
for the year?
yeah,
All
if
the
I,
stipends and salaries were used up.
yeah,
So there's really no urgency until the next year then.
well, financially, I'm not worried about that, it was more of going forward, is this something that or should I just take the step back and let DPW take over getting the quotes and things like that, or somebody else, you know what I mean, like I don't know the answer, but I didn't wanna not get these things for the department, you know what I mean? I just know,
I would say
for
keep
next
it with you, cause you seem to be the one that's got the
Then-
most experience and.
We would need a motion for it.
Hmm?
We would need a motion, I think, is what Sean's.
I'm just making a comment.
Right, I'm saying,
Do you wanna make that
do you wanna
motion?
make that a motion?
Oh. Okay. Why don't you make it?
'Cause I don't know.
You've got more clarity.
I do not.
I'm sorry, this is past my bedtime.
Mine too.
I have to get up at 2:00 in the morning.
Oh, you gotta be kidding me.
No,
2?
I'm not. Seriously.
Wow. That's crazy. I thought
All right,
you were
2:30.
tired.
Liar.
Oh, that makes me tired thinking about it.
So, it's not to kick it down the road too far, but once we really look at everything all together and I figure out which Excel spreadsheet I'm supposed to be looking at instead of the one that I'm currently using, I just wanna see how all the numbers interact together, I guess. And I know it doesn't change, like nothing changes
Supposedly.
numbers wise, yeah, yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah. So,
Okay.
but you are being paid currently or no?
No,
No.
just to do the
Okay.
budget, that
Oh,
was
just
it,
for the budget?
yeah. And that's all, I'm not getting paid for anything else, it's not, this is my time.
Okay. Well,
And all of these things would take place in the next calendar year then, or when does a pool director's job start? When?
well, like I said, like she's saying, it doesn't
It's
ever
pretty
really
much an all
stop.
year.
You know, she's
Yeah.
picking up the end right now, and she did. There was an email from earlier this month, where she, asked for us to consider putting the pool director position back under Parks and Rec.
Mm-hmm.
That's how simple the motion is.
Mhm.
And then, I'll make a motion to put the pool director position back under Parks and Rec, and Mindy to be the pool director.
I'll second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you.
Alright,
On to
Let's
looking
move
at
along.
grants. Alright, the last thing was just to approve moving the, which I think I gave I don't know if you still have it, it was a while ago that I sent it over to you. They have it, okay, to move the, I'm tired, I'm sorry. Move the summer coordinator's job to oversee the sports camps in the summer, to alleviate and give the sports manager the summer off. And that would come with the $500 adjustment to each salary. So it would go down to $500 for the sports manager, it would go up $500 for the camp summer coordinator.
And that comes out of revolving.
The sports, well, no, that was what was in the, that's the
Oh.
one,
That's already in the,
yeah, that's one of two, it's already in there, but we're still taking out, the 5,000. We just leave in the 4,500 instead
So
of.
it's a $0 amount. Shifting.
Yeah, exactly. Nobody's getting like a raise or anything. It's just shifting of money.
You wanna,
The total doesn't change.
What's
Yeah.
this one?
yeah, and the one below it.
And the summer camp one, I apologize that I don't have the one that I originally had when Lila had her presentation for you guys. She kind of showed me up a little bit in my little piece of paper. That one I just drafted, so we had it for this meeting, just so that way we could approve the shift in salary. And obviously add the job description change.
No issues with that.
Oh, I think you sent this out to us.
Yep. Yeah, I think.
I remember reading it.
A couple weeks ago.
Yeah, it was a bit.
Yeah.
I've been trying to get in to see you guys. So busy.
Trying to get what?
I said you guys are so busy. I've been trying to get in here.
Who wants to?
Oh, I don't care. You guys don't want it. I'll take it.
So yeah, I'm fine with the job descriptions as well.
Okay.
Okay.
Lou, looks good. Job descriptions,
Look good.
you're good with those? The paper?
Yes.
Okay, I didn't hear you.
Oh, I'm sorry.
I didn't hear.
Okay,
So you're gonna send me one that doesn't say draft? Mindy,
The what?
you're gonna send me those job descriptions that don't say draft?
Absolutely.
Cool. Yay.
Yeah, I think that's all I need to harass you guys about.
alright,
We are well
Thank you.
harassed.
I
Now the
appreciate.
library's coming back?
yeah,
I'm glad. This wasn't my fault.
I missed half of it anyway. but-
She goes, you're only giving me 15 minutes
How long did it
before the
take?
library? So, pool budget started at 7:09 and ended at 7:48.
you're always trying to wrap things up by 7, you gotta just, be like 26.
Well, she said it'll only take a hot minute.
I have the technology to
So
turn
an
the
hour is a
clock
hot
back.
minute. I don't know.
Okay, note to self.
No,
When Mindy says it's a hot minute, it means an hour.
Yeah. All right. Thanks so much. Have a good night.
Thank you for all the work that you're doing.
See you
Yeah.
tomorrow.
Yeah, of course. I love it.
Appreciate
Thank
the
you.
dedication.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Alright, so I got round table stuff. Nothing under it, but I had a couple of follow-ups. So the Warwick Mills, lease of building 2. Did you guys wanna do a walkthrough? Did we? I don't think we had set a
Flashlight ready?
date. Yeah.
Yeah, we didn't set a date for that.
Yeah,
And there was still some, we need to meet with them. It sounds like.
so I'd like to do a walkthrough before.
Yeah, see how much
Dave,
space is.
Dave come and caught up on their payments, right?
Oh yeah,
Okay.
long time ago.
But like so many things, we still don't have a signed agreement, huh?
And or an insurance certificate. I've asked on probably at least 6 occasions. Sporadically, I keep asking, hey, I don't have a
So
signed contract.
let's do a walkthrough, schedule a meeting, or even schedule the walkthrough and a meeting, maybe, same day.
Okay.
Yeah. And probably will have to be flashlight ready, even if we started at 5.
Yeah, we could start.
December
Yeah, because
3rd.
it's gonna be.
December 3rd
it's
at
gonna
4.
be dark. Start at 4?
Or,
Out
We've
there
done,
in
that's
the
what
building.
we've done that before. When we
Yeah.
come in here for
That way there you can
Yeah.
see something.
yeah, alright,
Decrease liability for a guy who.
can you do 4, Lou?
Yeah, that can do it.
Okay,
Alright, so December 3rd at 4 p.m.
yeah,
What day?
December 3rd.
So So I am going to invite Mr. Howland and company to
Not
the
for the
walk.
walk.
4:30 or
Yeah, like maybe after.
give us some time to do it ourselves
Yeah.
first.
Yeah.
Maybe at 4:30.
Mm-hmm.
And I'll have to see if
And give them adequate notice
Yeah.
of what's going on.
Peter
Uh-huh.
can
Yeah.
walk through with us.
Yeah.
He's the one who's.
Taking off.
I'm out of here. Yeah.
What? It's not even bedtime. Well, no, that's
It
right.
is.
It is my bedtime.
Or past.
6 minutes.
I know it.
I'll send out a revised spreadsheet to all of you just because.
I don't know if it'll even show right on this because I think it's the same thing that you guys are probably using.
Yeah, I'll
It's
show you
just-
how to use it. Is that an Apple?
Yeah.
Look at this guy.
Why would he do
He's
an
showing
Apple?
everybody tech stuff.
If you would go to that Android,
Yeah.
I could just
Just be easier. Yeah.
except for that stupid Outlook thing. Email is the worst email I've ever had to use in my
No,
life.
I'm not a fan either, but.
Use it all the time. Love it.
Do you?
See, I'm doing it on a little
drives
tablet.
me nuts.
Yeah.
Yeah, if there's sometimes a response, someone forwards something or whatever, and it ends up this little window, and I have to go back and
Yeah,
forward.
and then you gotta hit the three
back.
little dots to actually open the
Yeah.
whole string of, which
It
I
annoys me.
had no idea. Sean taught me that a few months ago. I'm like, I don't
Yeah,
have
I'm a
that.
little tech savvy. It's a little. If I see 3 dots, I touch it.
Well, I can think of his friends.
All right, well, thank you, Joe.
All right.
It was
Thank you.
appreciated. Yeah.
Thank you.
Have a good night.
Good night.
Thank you
for
so
the
much,
presentation.
Joe. Appreciate your dedication.
Alright. You got everything?
Walk through.
Is that your box so fun?
This thing?
Yeah.
No, it's Ron's.
Ron's? Oh.
Yeah. This is all that device to get it to project over the.
Oh, right.
Yeah.
Okay.
And everybody used it tonight, so that was good.
I know.
All the audience could have seen these awesome presentations.
I know. Love
Yeah.
it.
See you later. Have a great
Thank
night.
you. Good night, Joe.
Too.
All right, so we'll schedule that.
Yeah. Then out fielded a few complaints out on Mountain View Drive about the roadside mowing, and another email had come in from another resident out there that's not happy with the work that was done and the lack of notice. Personal opinion, I feel like it's the lack of notice aspect that's kind of getting us jammed up in some aspects of the things, like the town functions. So if the DPW knows that they're gonna be going out to a road, and I'll use words that these community members like, to destroy their road, to
Destroy the vegetation on the side of the road.
yeah, it goes on and on,
Yeah.
like all the different words and the emotional feelings that they have. It's just they go to work, then all of a sudden they come home, and then the whole front of their yard is buzzed down.
They
you know,
didn't
of
get any
trees.
advance notice.
Yeah, no notice.
Yeah.
And then even just a refining piece of, it's great to use that mower, but maybe not on trees that are 4 inches around, and then just taking off the top and just spewing all the stuff everywhere. So just sort of, the notice would do good, a scope of work maybe, like of what the people should expect to be
And what-
done in
So-
those zones.
Like
And why?
we did
Because-
with Blueberry, because every step of the way we gave Blueberry notice. We're coming out here to do this on this day,
Right.
and I mean, if they're coming out and mowing whatever roads, we should, put it on Facebook.
Somehow, or Facebook, or
and-
even if we're
and
gonna
the
be out
website.
there, it's not too hard, like just have a piece of paper to put in somebody's door or something, or in a mailbox, or just go that extra mile to let the people know what's
Put it
going
up on
on.
Facebook.
I mean,
But not everybody goes on
a minimum
Facebook.
of
Not
one of the
everybody.
residents on Mountain View has to be on Facebook. You know what I mean? And they could tell
That's
the.
not enough.
Did you? Well, I mean, there's probably more. And
So
they just,
anyways,
hey,
did it
did you
get
hear they're doing
resolved, or-
this?
It's
I
still
feel like-
ongoing, I'm not
It's
sure,
a mess.
what's going
Well,
on.
right now, they're complaining that, there's all these branches and everything that haven't been cleaned up.
So
Yeah.
did these
So there
people
has
talk to
been
the-
some things cleaned up, Peter's aware of it, I spoke to him, I forwarded him
But did
to
any of the people
emails.
contact the DPW?
I believe they tried to, it was a Friday, in one aspect, you know, so nobody's around. I don't know why people pick Fridays, you know, and they know. And I don't know if they tried to contact DPW directly or if it was the administrator's office or what office.
His number's right on the website.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And that's what occurred to me when I saw the emails come through, and I saw you were handling it. And I'm like, I'm not gonna turn it into a noticed
Funny,
meeting
that,
here.
that's the way I figured.
So I just
Yeah.
backed off. But my thought was,
Mhm.
why would you come to the selectmen first? Why not talk to the director and say what's going on? Because I believe the director has shown that he'll work with people if they
Right.
reach
Well,
out to him.
I
And
thought,
don't need to have, you know what I mean?
I thought they were cutting these trees down because maybe they were infested, cause the state's going through this whole thing of telling people, like, where my daughter lives, they've got, the beech trees up there,
Mhm.
and they're clearing all that out because
Yeah, I don't
of
think there's anything to do
the boring
Yeah.
worms.
infestation.
Yeah, I think it was just had to do with, you know, pre-winter work and fixing ditching and, you know, it was all good work that needed to be done and
Oh,
everybody agrees
Yeah.
with that, so it's just.
Give
And
us
this happened
notice and
last
clean
year,
it up.
like with Philmar, like some of this dialogue's been had
Mm.
already, and it's
So
just to make sure
noticing
that we
should
have.
become a
Yeah.
part of a procedure.
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah, just to let people know, you know, what's gonna be going on
Mhm.
in those zones.
And they deserve it, in all honesty.
Mhm.
You know, whether it be, you know, something that's just put out on Facebook or on the website, the town page, or whatever, just something that as long as one or two people read it, there'll be, you know, everybody, and I won't say everybody, but most of the people in the neighborhood, would pick up on it.
Yeah, there's potential there, yeah. Or even a sign. Maybe we just get a couple signs to throw at the ends of like roads that are gonna have work being done the next week or
The electronics.
whatever. Well,
That's
we've done
another
that,
good,
but it's
yeah.
used for other things like the no burning
Yeah,
right now.
that's most
Gra-
important
granted,
right now.
yep.
So
But
that's
I'm
why,
saying
But you
it's
could have
something
just a
that-
sign that says roadside mowing next week. You wouldn't need to have it October or whatever. You could just put it up
yeah,
and leave it there for a couple
right
days
on the
and
end
take
of the
it
road,
away.
like whatever road they're gonna go
Yeah.
on. Yeah, like the following week.
Yeah.
Yeah, just put it out there, and then if anybody has questions, I'm sure they'd reach out, or I'd hope that they'd reach out to ask, like if they had concerns of what was gonna be done.
Yeah, that doesn't seem like it would be hard.
Yeah, yeah. So that was the low tech, because we did use the sign for some of that type of stuff last year, but now it's going into other uses.
Mhm.
So maybe it'd be better to have a sandwich board or something. Yeah, some way to do it.
Well, not this year because the sign budget's already overspent.
Yeah, but what about the spray paint budget?
Oh, there you go. All right, we can make one.
Yeah, we got a couple of hunks of plywood out there.
Yeah.
So are you gonna talk to Peter about that? Noticing people, or you want me to?
Oh, we can both.
Okay, we got a staff meeting tomorrow morning, so.
Really?
Mhm.
I should
Third
drop
Wednesday.
in and learn a thing or two.
Sure.
I'll see if I do. Yeah, on DPW and this is completely different. But there's been 2 sightings of people who feel like they have access to the salt and sand and crushed gravel that's on this end of the building.
Yeah.
It's taking place outside of business hours, and it's not dump trucks or anything, it's shovelfuls, but just for people out there, that is
Well,
not for public use.
The first bin is for public use.
No, that's
No.
on this side.
That's on this side over here.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Okay,
And,
The
that,
stuff
and it's
way
only
out
sand.
behind by the Green Center
okay.
in the
Yeah.
Quonset hut thing.
But
Yeah,
that's,
that's not for
the
public use.
the first one.
Yeah, there's
over
only
here.
one.
Yeah,
It
and
is.
it's just sand,
Yeah.
and it's
Oh, is it
that's
just sand or
it's
is
only
is it-
sand, and it's
It's
that's
not sand and salt.
nope,
No.
it's
Okay.
only sand.
Sometimes they'll sprinkle salt on it, but just to remind everybody that that's technically not for
That's stealing.
We don't want people depleting it for their driveway and then have nothing left for the roads.
Yeah,
So,
yeah. Do not provide salt.
yeah.
Yeah.
And even that sand aspect is done just out of a courtesy and
Yeah.
something a little extra and nice.
Yeah, when
So
it was
not to
over at the
abuse
old
it.
garage, it used to have the sand, the salt in it.
Yeah, don't fill up your spreaders with it.
Yeah.
Plow guys.
We
and-
have cameras.
One other thing too was I'd sent out that email in regards to accepting people's leaves and sticks and brush, like things that they typically burn this time of year that they can't right now, and allowing people, whether or not they had a sticker down at the transfer station, to go and throw that stuff in the yard debris pile, which I'd assume that we'd probably burn. I don't know what the, at what interval, but
Yeah.
Yeah, when I-
wait till winter.
Snow.
When I read your thing about it, about doing that, I thought it was a good idea. However, I think your email said to included leaves, and I don't think you really wanna burn leaves. They go flying all over the place.
People are burning them in their backyards.
Yeah, people burn leaves all the time, so right now we're asking them not to do any of that type of burn, not even asking, but telling them that they can't. And there's actually pretty steep fines, involved for if anybody gets caught up like in the brush fire scenario, that communities are starting to impose, cause people just will not
Right.
respect how dry it is out there, and it doesn't take much to
And
get that kindled off.
And I don't think people understand that it's actually in the ground to dry as well.
Mhm.
Like, I didn't get that. I was like, what are you talking about? We just got
Yeah,
a
so
little
those
bit
top
of rain,
layers
it's
of
wet.
organic material catch
Right.
fire as well.
Right.
Exactly.
Yep.
And that's why, the Pratt Pond, rekindled a couple of
Right.
weeks ago.
Yeah,
'cause
restarted because it
deeper.
was deep in the ground.
Yeah,
That happens with apple orchards, like in western New York. The when they have like a brush fire, it actually goes into the apple
The roots.
over by the apple orchards, and it travels underground by the roots. And then they lose several hundred acres of use of land for 10
Yeah.
years.
so
So-
are you guys, what are your thoughts on, taking that, fee-free down at the transfer station?
Is that recommended
Sure.
by the fire department or?
Yep,
And we got
and DPW.
a positive email from the fire department and Peter, like DPW, so it's completely possible, and it shouldn't cost us any additional money to do that.
How do we make it Ipswich residents only? Word of mouth?
Yeah, I don't know.
I mean,
Yeah. Well, we can, we'll just make it as a part of
is there any other towns doing
this
this?
motion. I don't know. I haven't looked into it.
Yeah, I thought your idea was really quite good.
Well, it's
Just make
sparked
it-
off of just a question from one of our community members.
Mhm.
What do? I got all these bagged leaves and sticks and stuff. I don't
They
have a
wouldn't
dump
be able to
sticker.
they can't put bags in there
No.
unless they're paper.
Yeah, that's
Even
what-
Yeah,
still.
that paper
Yeah.
bag.
The leaf bags, yeah. Yeah.
Mhm.
And make it, just on dump day.
Oh, yeah.
On dump day.
It would have to be on dump day.
No
Or
special
if they
hour.
wanna open it up on a special
Yeah.
day,
Well, then we'd have to pay someone, and it would have to come out of the budget,
Yeah.
and it's a whole thing.
But
Dump
the-
day.
yeah, dump day, but, if it starts getting out of control, then,
Because typically that is free to bring anyways. They have restrictions, branches less than this big.
5 inches, I think, or something.
But I think I was just looking at the fee schedule and it's not, there's no cost to it.
Mm.
But you'd have to have a sticker probably, right?
You do need a sticker
Mhm.
to enter the transfer station.
Yeah,
So all the
That's
same
what the change
restrictions
would
would
be.
apply
yeah.
to these people. And then they could buy a sticker while they're there.
Yeah. if they so choose. I'll make a motion to accept residents of New Ipswich's, what'd you call that?
Leaves
Yard
and
debris.
brush.
Just yard debris?
I would
or
say leaves
leaf-
and brush.
Yeah.
Oh, alright, leaves and brush, at the transfer station, following the following the proper guidelines, or their guidelines, whether or not they have a sticker, for the transfer station,
And how long
it's
do we
fee
want
free.
this?
Yeah, for how long? Well, it's fee free anyway.
I know,
Well,
but
it's
we're
without a
letting
sticker.
people
Now
go
we're
without a
saying-
sticker.
Yeah,
And
just go
Oh,
with
okay.
It's
something.
only like 3 people, but still gotta quantify it, right?
Yeah,
For how long do we wanna do it for a month?
I'd say until further notice, cause I don't know.
So
If-
then we're
what if
gonna
we don't
need a
get snow
motion
Till
until
it
February?
snows.
Rescind it?
What's that?
Are we gonna need a motion to rescind it then, or
Until the red flag warnings are lifted, or?
do we see?
No, I was just saying, like, until the red flag warning's lifted?
Well, they-
For more
red
than
flag
5 days in a
warnings
row?
Until further notice, and then we can rescind it.
Alright,
Yeah, on Saturdays as a part of normal business hours at the transfer station.
that's a one.
And so
I
transfer
didn't even
station
get
was
that.
okay with that because now they have to sort out who's, like, if someone comes and dumps leaves and then drive over to the household garbage and starts dumping.
Well,
Yeah,
then they ask for a sticker over
Yeah,
there.
sticker
You have to show your
and,
sticker over
Yeah,
that.
and at the end
That's
of
what
the,
I'm saying.
yeah. So,
They were all
You were-
aware of it,
you
they
were
got a
saying-
thumbs up.
But you were saying that
Yeah.
whether they have stickers or not.
Yeah.
correct, yeah,
Yeah, that won't apply to any other stuff.
no,
No.
it's just the leaves and branches,
I'll second that.
alright. All in favor?
I
Aye.
Now we can discuss it. Oh wait, we already did that.
Yeah. Which we always get onto this conversation anyways with the stickers and stuff. Just seems counterintuitive that people pay 2 and 3 times to get rid of their trash,
You got stickers and then
bags and
bags and all
Yeah.
this stuff.
like all feed for everything on top of it, so not that I don't wanna get into it tonight necessarily, but maybe when we go over the DPW budget and
Philosophy of how to get the money out of the people.
Yep. One fee would be good. Alright, so that's all I had for old new roundtable discussion stuff. Jason,
I didn't have anything.
Lou,
um
I'll come back. I'm gonna. You didn't. I knew you didn't flip a page.
No
You
kidding,
usually like
he
to look
has
back.
to.
go
Yeah.
ahead. Or were you just goofing around?
I interrupt you.
No, that's fine.
It was just when are we doing
I'm-
warrant
I'm-
articles?
Why are we going to what?
When are we going over if we're going to be submitting any new warrant articles from our end?
Can you be ready for the 3rd, Debbie?
And then on that same note, I happened to walk in on a trustees of the trust fund, and just to stick in the back of your head, any new warrant articles for capital reserves, make sure they have names,
Mm.
cause some of them don't have names, and then they end up having different names being applied to them, so if you have the name right in the warrant,
Yeah.
then there's not
Okay,
confusion.
and
So
that's good.
just something to remember. Alright,
Are we putting any new warrant articles?
there's a possibility I might bring one up.
Okay,
So December 3rd,
December 3rd, we'll go over
warrant articles.
the synopsis,
Yeah.
Warrant article day, warrant.
draft. December 3rd, starting to get busy. Okay. Is that it?
I interrupted Lou.
I forgot what I
should have let it. Oh, is that why you said go ahead?
You forgot? I don't think I had anything else. No. I didn't see a dog in the parking lot.
No, I want to do something, when we go into, the other session,
In non-public.
non-public.
So it's a part of that discussion. That's a part of that discussion.
Yes.
Okay. All right, Debbie.
Okay, so we had a conversation about recombining the positions of, oh, I wish Dee was still there. The Board of Assessors admin and the Planning Board admin, and we kind of decided it probably shouldn't have been separated to begin with. I talked to Jean today, and she said that's fine. You have my blessing about Stephen doing it, and I have not talked to Dee about it. I was going to send an email to both boards, but Jean happened to come in today, so I mentioned it to her, and she said she was fine with it. And Stephen also said that he does have time to do it, so
Good.
there we are. However, he would like the hourly wage that Jen was getting for doing both positions, because he was hired for the planning board admin, and we're adding additional duties.
But he was
So he
also
feels-
hired as a floater.
No, he wasn't.
No one was hired as a floater, huh? I thought everyone
Not
gets hired
real-
as,
well-
and other duties.
We're all floaters.
We're all floaters. Yeah.
Well, Jenny was originally hired as a floater, wasn't
Right. Right. She got so good at everything, we decided to give her.
she? And yeah, and,
Crazy.
you know,
But anyways,
she's got such a good attitude about it.
So he wants a raise. Well, that-
so what we had budgeted for Jen for the year, and that's what he wanted. It's a $2 increase an hour, and it was already budgeted for, but I don't know how you guys feel about that. So here we are.
I'm okay with it. That's my discussion.
Now what does that do to everyone else's wage?
Nothing.
Who is the everyone else? We have Mindy.
Everything was budgeted, but we're adding responsibility and other duties to, so it's now gonna be, it's not just gonna be planning board admin, it's gonna be planning and assessing admin. So he's having additional, I don't think anybody else is gonna say a word.
Yeah, no, he feels like he has the time to do it.
Mm-hmm.
Which is amazing, you know, because he's been with us for
I know.
a short amount of time.
He's caught on very quickly. He's done, I mean, so that kind of, I don't want to say spare time, but time that he's not necessarily doing planning board stuff. He's been taking like all these classes, like the free Primex classes and the NHMA classes on webinars and stuff like that. He's gone to a couple of conferences and that kind of stuff. So he is, and he catches on like this. It's scary. Him and Jenny both. I don't get it. But so that's a you guys' decision.
Yeah,
Currently,
more.
the assessors have no one.
Well, Pam said she would hang out until we got someone.
Oh,
So she's
so
still
we could.
she's still here. She could kind of show him what she's been doing and.
No increase of hours or for Steve.
He's already at 40.
I don't. It's a no-brainer.
Alright.
I think. Go from $20 to $2 an hour. I make a motion motion, we can recombine assessing and planning clerk.
Second,
Second. Yeah.
okay, third,
All in favor?
aye.
Aye.
With an increase. Did you say that part?
I didn't say that, but
Okay.
I didn't have the exact numbers.
Would be $2 an hour increase.
Okay, now we have to make a motion to amend the motion.
Do you have to make
I
a
don't know.
motion for the increase? We'll just do
Uh,
that. We'll just,
Yeah, with the increase.
that we
Yeah.
know.
Yeah.
So you have to redo the motion?
No.
Okay.
We're all in favor, Lou
Yeah.
expressed his,
Okay.
and it's, like you said, it's already been budgeted for,
Actually, I
Okay.
did say in my commenting, $2,
yeah,
Mhm.
down to 2.
down to
What's
$2.
what's you making that,
It's the same way that I,
Yeah. So,
Yeah.
same way that I said about Nimi Road. It's reverse engineering.
Yep.
You gotta reverse engineer things.
you don't do, you
$2
don't
an hour.
reverse engineer by waving your hands like that.
I can. Didn't you see me? I pulled them back.
Instead of going like this, he went
That's
like
right,
this.
it's going back.
Okay, cool. I will let them know. And so today, Tim Blaze and I went over to the cemetery and met the guy who does the ground penetrating radar. So cool.
Oh, yeah.
Is it the
It
same
is
guy
good.
as did the thing
No,
down
this
there?
is a different guy.
Oh.
This guy specializes in cemeteries, particularly ancient cemeteries. Like
Did he do a demonstration
1700.
on that one
he
corner
took
of
his yes.
Was there anything under there where there's no markers?
Yes.
There was?
His bodies.
Is
His
there?
bones.
And there's no markers. You don't know.
No, he didn't. He found a rock.
Wow.
He didn't do like the whole area. He was trying to show us what the GPR looks like. So he went over that next section right over the wall there where it has the headstones and the footstones.
Mm.
He went through there, because first he went in front and he's like, weird. So then he went behind and he's like, oh, here's the,
The
the
vaults.
things, and here's the footstones, because they were the old ones, the
Oh.
early 1800s or something.
Hmm.
Stone was the last name on the first one, John P. Stone.
Where are you at? In the,
So
we could talk
Smithville's
about this after the
yeah.
meeting.
Anyways,
These guys
so
say-
it's really cool. Anyways,
phones.
and then we also went over to Center Cemetery and we went up to Porter Hill, and so we're gonna so the cemetery trustees are we accepted a contract, a proposal, whatever, for cemetery software, which we've already talked to the trustees of the trust funds, which can be used under the cemetery maintenance,
Wow.
because we need to, we don't even know
You're
what we
not
can
kidding.
sell, what we
I've
can't.
sat in on a
So
few of them meetings.
yeah, it's
Yes.
bad.
But it's not uncommon either.
Oh no,
It's all over the country.
all
these
over the
small
country.
towns.
Yep.
Yep.
Perpetual care.
So this guy
in a small
specializes-
town doesn't work good.
No. But this guy specializes in he's been to Micronesia and all these different places, and he's been on This Old House and Chronicle and all kinds of TV things, and he's written books. He actually gave me one of his books. But so he's going to give us a quote for how much, because we're not going to do the GPR in every single.
Does this do
Square
mapping now?
So he's going to do the mapping, and he's
Of
going
the
to do a
cemetery?
satellite image.
Really?
Yes.
Because that would be more important than GPR.
Yes.
GPR is only when you
Well,
just don't
we're
know
only doing GPR in those sections.
that are.
So I had to send him a set of the map. He's going to take a satellite picture, superimpose it over our town map, and then we're gonna yeah.
This is awesome.
And
work.
then we're gonna
And it's all coming out of the cap reserve.
Yep, and it's already approved by the trustees.
Unless we don't sign off on it.
Yeah. So, yeah, so it's really awesome. It's crazy.
Nice.
But this guy was amazing, and he spent like a couple hours with us, and it was great.
Did any of the committee members make it besides you?
Jeff, Jeff
nice.
Croak,
He made it
Is
up.
that how you say his last name?
Yeah.
Croak.
Yeah.
Because it's not Crook, it's you. Yeah, so it was pretty awesome. I didn't know if anybody was gonna show up other than me and
Yeah,
Tim.
I saw the email the day
Yeah.
after,
Yeah, so
cause I didn't check it
Oh.
that day.
no, it was today. I thought
Oh,
it
it was
was
today.
yesterday. I showed
I
up
didn't
there
look.
at 9:15,
Oh.
sitting there waiting. I'm like, where is everybody? Why is everybody late? Because now it's 9:30, and to me, if you're not early, you're late. But so I waited till like quarter of, and then I'm like, was it today? So I'm looking. I was trying to scan my email and find it, and yeah. So I'm an idiot, and it was Tuesday, not Monday. So yeah, so it was this morning. It was great, and Tim Blaze is doing an amazing job as sexton. He's so dedicated, and it's so awesome.
Very nice.
Love it.
I'm sorry, what's his name?
Tim Blaze.
Oh, Tim Blaze, okay.
And then my other update is the Brownfield Phase 2 approval for the more testing. I told you guys last time, I think it got approved, and he emailed me this afternoon and said they're gonna be there tomorrow to do more soil and water samples. So that's my update.
That's good news stuff.
I don't think there was anything else. No, I'm done.
Alright. I opened up our correspondence folder. I see there's some appointment
Yep.
recommendations from Conservation Commission.
Mm-hmm.
So the first one I'm looking at is a 1-year term, and it's already a sitting member. Probably most of these guys are. Matt Oliveira, like the commission voted 5-0 to appoint them, or appoint him. And the next one I have is for a 2-year term for Karen Miller.
I know Karen.
Okay.
I love Karen.
You what?
I love Karen.
Yeah, she's really quite nice.
She's good people.
Very straightforward.
And a 2-year term for David McTeague.
McTeague. Yeah.
What's she done? Bob Boyd. Oh, she's been on that with that group for probably
Long time. Everyone's sitting members.
And then a 1 Jennifer Worth.
1-year term.
1-year term. Yeah.
It's like an alternate or
Oh, we're
as
just
an actual-
signing these. We're not moving,
Yeah, no.
motioning.
Oh, well, I mean, they recommended the whole board to 0. They're all sitting members.
Yeah. So,
Everybody
yeah.
needs to sign it, or just one of us?
No, yeah, no, we'll all sign it.
Okay.
So I make a motion to appoint Karen Miller to the Conservation Commission for a 2-year term effective 12/14/24. Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. I'm gonna make a motion to appoint Jennifer Worth to the Conservation Commission for a 1-year term effective November 14th, 2024. Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. And make a motion to appoint Matthew Oliveira to the Conservation Commission for a 1-year term effective November 14th, 2024. Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor? Aye. And make a motion to appoint David McTeague to the Conservation Commission for a 2-year term effective December 8th, 2024. Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
That was Jason's turn.
He doesn't play nice. I make a motion to adjourn. No, we can't.
Hey, I could have
Yeah,
abstained.
non-public. Huh? You do not.
I said I could have.
You got a few more to sign there,
I know.
mister.
I'm waiting here. I'm all excited.
It's exciting.
Waiting with bated breath. Wait, what is this?
That's not, so, are you saying that I had worms on my tongue?
What? That's so dumb, it's funny. Old Lou. This goes with the minutes.
You already tried this one.
Oh, sorry. From last week.
Thank you.
We're not ready to sign.
No, I know.
Minutes anyways.
But I just, I don't know why I didn't get them.
Alright. Louis didn't sign in my spot.
I didn't sign your what?
In my spot. You gotta do that at least once to me.
No, I've broken the habit.
Alright, so we good for this portion?
Yes,
Alright.
as far as I'm concerned. Anyway.
Ron, thank you very much for everything that you do.